try this out, you know. I did not like it and did not want to go back.
Do you recall where the house was?
Yeah, it's like right off the highway in Frederick.
And the streets?
I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out again if I like really had to. Like off the top of my head, no.
Do you know the street name?
No. I would have to like drive around in there to get there.
Okay.
That's the best I can tell you from a time.
Can you give us a better idea of her role in the investigation, how forthcoming she was and how she helped?
She originally came forward and spoke to investigators on her own volition.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm really trying to help you guys. I need you guys to help me too. Like,
Yes,
we'll
ma'am.
do this as a team, but just don't
So
fucking let me down.
the
please.
reason why we can't, like, I think
Prior to the time, unfortunately, that she came in and spoke with investigators, she had deleted all of the information off of her phone that had any connection between her and Chris Watts. That hampered the investigation.
You know, they're going to say, oh, you're the woman that had an affair with this man who took out his whole family. And I take a step back and it's just like, I didn't know. Like, it's...
That hampered our ability to get that electronic digital connection between the two.
Wow! Why? How?
She was interviewed on multiple occasions. I believe that for the most part, she was forthcoming in the course of those investigations. We don't have any reason to believe that she had any prior knowledge or involvement in the death of Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico. I think that's the best way I can answer that. Yes, sir.
I still cannot believe this is happening. I still cannot believe this is happening.
So
Okay.
his wife gets home sometime at about 2 o'clock on that morning. So
No, she got home on Sunday.
Pardon me,
She got home
Sunday.
on Sun-
She got home on Sunday. So did you ever talk to him late on Sunday night?
No, we were on the phone, but I mean, I had to let him go and get up and go to work.
That was
So
the 9 to
sometimes-
11 call that it was like a 2-hour phone call we talked about yesterday on Sunday night from 9 p.m. to 11.
And that would have been the last time that I talked to him until the work day.
That's like the meat of this whole
Let's
situation.
get to the phone call on Saturday from 9 to 11. What did you guys, or pardon me, on Sunday from 9 to 11?
Yeah, we talked a few times. So Sunday, I think so. I need to think. I can't even think.
Take a couple breaths and take a second.
Sunday night. I don't even know. I don't think I was like concerned about anything at that point.
You guys had had a nice meal the night before. You knew his wife was probably coming home late that evening.
Oh, you know what? I still don't remember what we talked about. I honestly, we talk about so much random stuff. Like, it's so hard to pinpoint some of these things. I don't remember what we talked about. I do remember that was a long phone conversation that we probably talked about all sorts of stuff. One thing I do remember though, that I didn't remember earlier when I was talking to Mark. So this is where I'm starting to remember little bits and pieces. I don't remember. Yeah, I know. So the phone conversation, I don't remember what was in the phone conversation. Probably nothing of relevance, to be honest with you. But usually he talks to me when he's down in the basement in his bed before he goes to bed and before I go to bed. And I could hear the TV on, which I thought was kind of weird. I didn't ask him. I just heard it in the background. And I remember thinking, and it was right before we got off the phone, I was like, why the hell is he up? And there's no TV downstairs. So I was like, well, maybe, I don't know.
So no TV in the basement where he usually calls you from.
Yeah, and I don't know how many TVs they have. I've never been in their bedroom.
So I just wanted to say good morning. I'm in the middle of getting ready. Bella woke up. Come here. She's trying to climb the bed right now.
I went upstairs once and it was to their little playroom and I just looked at it and I was like, that's super cute that your girls have books.
Please don't take my sunshine away. My sunshine, my sunshine. We get happy.
And that was it. And other than that, I have never been in any of those rooms in that upstairs. To me, it was just you don't know, ever. I had no, so I don't know if he has any other TVs. I'm assuming by how much other nice stuff they have in their house, it wouldn't surprise me. So I'm not quite sure what room he was in at that point. But I just remember hearing the TV and I was like, it was just weird to me because I was like, why are you watching TV right now? It is super late.
Why are you watching TV right now? It is super late. Ugh. Ugh, ugh, ugh.
So
Okay.
his wife gets home sometime at about 2 o'clock on that morning. So
No, she got home on Sunday.
Pardon me,
She got home
Sunday.
on Sun-
she got home on Sunday. So did you ever talk to him late on Sunday night?
No, we were on the phone. but
Liar,
I mean,
liar.
I had to let him go
Liar.
and get up and go to work.
That was the
So
9 to
sometimes-
11 call that it was like a 2-hour phone call we talked about yesterday on Sunday night from 9 p.m. to 11.
And that would have been the last time that I talked to him until the work day.
She's a liar. We know that.
But I just remember hearing the TV and I was like, it was just weird to me because I was like, why are you watching TV right now? It is super late.
At 21:29, which is 9:29, we have Shanann made an unanswered call to Watts. Well, the reason that likely is, my friends, is because a minute before that, at 9:28, or in military time, 21:28, That's when that 111-minute phone call began. There is no mention of that phone call here in the official discovery. I just find that to be a conspicuously missing piece of information.
What were you talking to Nikki about before your wife got home?
Before she got home?
You talked for like several hours.
I mean, we talked a lot. Just, conversations, and just random conversations. We talk a lot.
Oh my God.
Does Nikki know about any of this?
Yes.
Seriously.
Well, she doesn't know, like, I mean, she knows, like, from the
The
news.
meat of this whole
Let's get
situation.
to the phone call on Saturday from 9 to 11. What did you guys, or pardon me, on Sunday from 9 to 11?
Yeah, we talked a few times. So Sunday, I think so. I need to think. I can't even think.
Oh my gosh. All right. So, oh, weird. I put my normal intro at the end here. So let me just find a nice little picture to stop on. Oh,
I have all these things
that
that
I can't tell you. I have so much fun editing her voice. You can't make it much creepier, but let's just stop right here. Okay. All right. So welcome everybody to What's the Obsession Friday night date night. It's Friday night date night. I'm so glad you all made it here for our date. I would miss you so much if you weren't here. I could even be kind of mad. I look forward to it every week. What's the Obsession Friday night date night. Live stream and chat. So this evening we are going to be talking about the Watts case, as you can gather. This might be the last Friday night Watts live stream I do for a few weeks because I have some other things I do want to talk about. I'm getting stuck in a little bit of a Watts only rut again, which I actually really enjoy because I have so much to say about this case, and I know you guys do too, and I love to hear what you have to say. But you know, it is important that there we go. You know, keep it well rounded. So anyhow, oh my gosh. So, I didn't even know where to start. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about tonight primarily is the 24 hours, or let's say the 48 hours around when the murders happened, which of course was, you know, sometime, I think if you're a reasonable thinker, you know that it's sometime in the early morning hours of August 13th, 2018. So, you know, the 2 days before that are, you know, August 13th was a Monday. That's the day the murders happened. So the 2 days before that, of course, are August 11th and August 12th, respectively, the Saturday and Sunday. And there was a lot in actuality that happened that is very interesting on Saturday and Sunday, as you probably imagine. We're also going to talk about the 48 hours after the murders and some very curious things that happened in that time. Now, we're not going to be able to talk about everything that happened in the 48 hours before and after during this live stream because it is an expansive topic that I've been working on getting straight so we can talk through it using the facts only as a basis for our discussion. And it's just there's really a lot. So we're going to start to have this discussion this evening. Let's see. And yeah, sorry I didn't go through and say hi to everybody. I'm so glad you guys are here. Thank you for being here. Thank you, especially moderators. You're amazing. Subscribers, members, love you guys. And if you're new, please consider subscribing. We would love to have you back. And I just ask that everybody please be respectful in the chat space. All right. So, let's see. I'm going to go to another video here. I just want to make sure I get the right one. Is this the right one? Oh, that might be a little dense. And how's everybody doing? Did you guys have a good week? Are you having a good start to your weekend? I sure hope you did. You know what we're going to do? I'm going to change directions a little bit. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I don't want to listen to the whole video, but I want you to listen to a little bit of the Deception Detective, his most recent video, where he's using statement analysis to analyze Nicole Kessinger's interview with law enforcement. Specifically, it's the August 16th interview, the infamous one with Kevin Kovac as the crappy interviewer, and her dad is present there at the table, being really inappropriate and all that. This is a fourth video the Deception Detective has put out analyzing Nicole Kessinger's words in that interview. And I swear every video just gets better and better. So for those of you who are new to the case, you're in for such a treat to have this really, talented creator doing the statement analysis for you right off the bat. And for those of you who've been following the case for a while, if you don't already know, the Deception Detective sort of illuminates things for us and puts it into words, and also, kind of verifies what we already knew, I think, for most people. And, sometimes I know that something's off about what she's saying, of course, or what, anyone is saying in general, but Deception Detective is able to really call it what it is, explain it to us, and it just helps to, fill in another piece of the puzzle that was missing without the Deception Detective. So, hey, Deception Detective, we are so super grateful for you. And I'm going to bring that video in, and I want you to watch this part of this episode, because he covers the part of the interview where Nicole Kessinger says, dun, 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 dun. Drum roll, please. Leave Jim alone. Leave Jim alone. Jim doesn't have to get wrapped up in this. Leave Jim alone. And I've just been waiting for him to get to that part. So psyched. Here we go. Let me bring it into the stream. Leave Jim alone. Leave Jim alone. Jim doesn't need to get wrapped up in this. Leave Jim alone. Okay. So this video is called, let's see, what was on the front of it? I can't remember what was on the thumbnail. That's not evil. What? That's weird. I don't know. Let's see. The worst, capital letters, kind of liar, featuring Nicole Kessinger, of course. All right.
Think of it right now, like Nicole's doing here. This is the day before your boyfriend murdered his entire family.
All right, we just gotta go back to the beginning.
So Sunday night or Sunday during the day, you had your own personal stuff going on with your family. You never see him on Sunday. Is that accurate?
No, I didn't see him. What did I do the rest of the day? I came home. I think I might have just chilled at my house. I don't remember. I think.
It's so damn funny how she forgets almost everything on Sunday on just this one specific day. And as I'm going to be showing you, a little bit tonight and in an upcoming video I have coming out, I've been creating this video forever because I keep adding pieces to it because I want it to be complete, but it's actually really interesting. Also what is forgotten on Sunday is in the discovery, they forgot to mention Nicole Kessinger through the entire day in the official discovery timeline on Sunday, August 12th. When the skanky empanada literally be mentioned like every other day in that discovery since, September 1st, 2017, almost a year before she says she met Chris Watts, which kicks off the discovery timeline. It's the first event on that discovery timeline, which is Nicole Kessinger features Shanann Watts, a woman that she claims she's never met before. It's just so crazy, but I digress. Here.
I could clean my house. I don't know. I didn't see him though.
Okay. Sunday is the day before Chris Watts murdered his entire family. So pinning down what Nicole did that day as, her personal timeline is important because A, if she's innocent, it helps exonerate her. But also if she was involved, it would help prove that. And when Kovac asks Nicole what she did on Sunday, we get lots of reticence, vague answers, and we get what's known as negation, where she tells us what she didn't do and that she can't remember. And negation is a great sign of deception. So it can come in three types. You can get objection phrases where if you say, were you at home on Sunday? Or did you help Chris on Sunday? And someone objects, well, I could never do something like that. How could I help someone murder his family? Or I had no idea he was going to do that. So instead of answering, someone evades giving you a direct response by objecting. The second is when someone gives you an I can't phrase. So what did you do on Sunday? I can't say for sure, or I can't really tell you, or I can't off the top of my head. So they tell you what they can't do. Why can't they do it? Maybe because it would expose them to jail time or because it would incriminate them. So they're honest when they say, I can't. And then the third type of negation is a non-reflective denial. So when someone just says offhanded, well, I can't remember, or I can't recall it, or I can't really think of it right now, like Nicole's doing here.
Mhm.
This is the day before your boyfriend murdered his entire family. I would expect you to reflect at least a little bit about what you did that day. It was less than a
Well
week ago.
said.
I would expect you to, if you're innocent, be thinking of your alibi. What did I do that day and how can I prove it? If I was watching Netflix, here's my Netflix record, right? I would be thinking of ways to exonerate myself. That's typically what innocent people do. So the fact that Nicole is cagey about what she did the day before Chris Watts killed his entire family is suspicious. Does it mean that she helped him plan it or commit it or cover it up? No, not necessarily.
Okay. And
Yeah, Saturday was the last time I saw him.
okay. Sunday, you're at home. You talk to him we know you have a conversation in the late evening hours, and then you go to sleep on Sunday night.
Mhm.
When's the next time you talk with Chris?
Probably Monday morning.
Do you know what time?
No, I mean, so we used to like randomly text each other like throughout the day, but we both get really busy. So some days like I don't hear a lot from him,
Oh
and
my
some
gosh,
days
the
I don't
worst.
text him until like 2:00 in the afternoon because I'm just like busy.
That's
And I remember I didn't hear a lot from him that day, which was like
Stop.
that's not out of the normal for either one of us during the day. But at one point, I do remember he like texted me and he's like, "Oh, it's been a really busy day," and then like said some other stuff, which I'm sure you will find in my text. What he said, I don't know. It wasn't obviously anything that was like alerting to me. But that's what I'm saying. Like at this point, like I remember really key things, but if it's like a conversation that I'm like, I don't remember exactly what was discussed, it's because it was probably just bullshit, like just talking to each other. Yeah.
Small talk stuff.
Yeah. But I remember he was busy that day and we didn't talk that much. And then I clocked out at 3 is what my time card says. That's what I was showing Mark the other day. And
See, on Monday, she did think of her time card and ways to prove where she was. Sunday, though, she shows zero reflection about that. Why is that? Why is she reticent about it? There's many reasons why people might be reticent. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're murderers. Maybe she was filming a nude video of herself to send to Chris and she's embarrassed about it. And she doesn't want to give it up unless she has to turn that over to the police to prove that she's not involved. So we can't read too much into it, but it is very suspicious. And like I've said throughout this series, the fact that Nicole deleted all of her text messages before coming forward to the police means that she's forfeited her right to the benefit of the doubt. So we will look at her much more suspiciously and skeptically than we would if she had been fully candid and cooperative.
It
I got home.
It also means that she committed a crime that can be a felony, which is called obstruction of justice. And from all of the attorneys that I've talked to recently about that, because people are starting to talk about that very much again, is the fact that she erased all of her text messages and got rid of all this information, is that obstruction of justice? Well, they all do say yes. And they say, and I think that it was even on this channel when one of them was like, I can't remember, guys. But that the deleting digital evidence because digital evidence obviously is used so frequently these days, more and more as time goes on. So the laws are becoming more concrete on like deleting digital evidence, messing around with it. There's very clear precedents on that issue, and deleting digital evidence is a very serious crime. All of the attorneys that we have talked to said that, kind of to my surprise, because it's just so easy to delete things. It seems like so many people just want to be sneaky a little bit, maybe even, and delete some things that are incriminating for them, not like, NK style. But anyway, let's go on and see what Deception Detective has to say next.
To go meet my buddy, one of my good friends was coming over to my house, and he actually has a key to my house, so he was actually there when I got there. And
Who's that?
My friend Jim.
Leave Jim alone.
And so Jim came over, and I got home. He was there. He had like just walked in the door, and I remember like briefly after he got there, I checked my texts. I mean, briefly after I met up with Jim, I like glanced at my texts, and Chris said something about like my family's not home, or like my wife and kids aren't home, like something to that effect. And I told Mark.
What'd you tell him, girl? What'd you tell him? What'd you tell Mark? Did I do that? Oh, I did. I thought he did that. Sorry.
Because he asked me for a time, and I don't have an exact time, but I remember it was like right after I walked.
That was a text message, though.
Another curious thing about all this is that Chris killed his family on the same day that Nicole had Jim coming into town, right? Another man, potentially another suitor, someone that Chris was jealous of, and potentially that's someone Nicole was using to make Chris jealous. Because if my theory is correct, Nicole gave Chris the ultimatum to put his house on the market right before he killed his family. So even if she didn't necessarily help him plan the murder, she was piling on the stress for him, at least, right, in his deranged mind, to do something dramatic to his family. And I think all Nicole suspected he would do is, like I said in another video, shit or get off the pot, right? Leave your wife and get with me, or don't. And she was packing on pressure onto him.
Absolutely.
Like, you need to list your house on the market by Monday.
Mm-hmm.
You need to tell your wife about me by Monday. I have this guy coming on Monday. So if you and I aren't an item, who knows what I might do with him. So I think she used lots of manipulative push and pull with Chris to get him to leave his wife. But because he's a psychopath, or he's just totally deranged, I'm not a clinician, so I can't diagnose him.
What are you jerking at?
He interpreted all that as, I need to permanently get rid of my family, my children, the unborn baby. And like I've said since the beginning, I don't think Nicole anticipated what Chris would do, but I do think that she applied a lot of pressure to him to make a decision. And I think that she uses very manipulative tactics
Absolutely.
to push people around, to con people, like we've seen her do with Kobach throughout this interview, where she danced around the phone, what other apps they used, where she danced around what they spoke about at the Lazy Dog, and plenty of other examples I've given so far in this series.
That's right.
And it's her proclivity for manipulation that we'll get into in this video that I think makes people like her potentially more dangerous than murderers like Chris Watts. And that might sound crazy right now, but once I explain it, I think we'll all be in agreement.
Well, finally, Deception Detective is starting to warm up to see it our way, saying that liars like her are more dangerous than liar pants like Chris Watts. And I understand what he's saying there.
So let's keep listening.
It's because, she's just in a chronic state of deceiving everyone around her. She's basically just toxic to anyone who gets, into, what does she say? The range of contamination of herself. So what do you guys think? I'm just curious. What do you think about the theory that the Deception Detective just put forth? And I personally think he's pretty spot on with this. I would make some clarifications to that, but he says, that Nicole Kessinger on Sunday evening was applying the pressure and applying it heavily to Chris Watts to get his house, get that damn house on the market now. She's tired of it. She's tired of knowing that that house exists and is not on the market. She does not like it. And also, that she's pressuring Chris to, I want to see signs that you and Shanann are done. The ring can be off her finger. You guys don't need to live in the same house anymore. Things like that. Do you guys think that was what was going on Sunday night in that 111-minute phone call? I'm just gonna wait a minute to take a couple comments and then we'll continue. Let's see, Charmy. Let's Charmy Lily, am I saying that right? Oh, whenever I see you, I don't know if I'm saying your name right, and I'm sorry if I'm not, but Charmy Lily, I think I'm saying something like that. And welcome, I'm glad you're here. Says, oh, she is so manipulative. That is for sure. I mean, I think that's something that basically all of us can agree on. And, again, I think the deception detective has kind of put it in terms, that kind of for me, like make it click, like, that's exactly why I knew that was so wrong all along. What she did, what she said, being a skanky empanada for sure. Let's see. She's a man eater. She's a man eater. Man eater. Yes, she is. Oh boy, a toxic empanada. Yeah, there's a lot of kinds of savory empanadas out there. Let's see. Sherry agrees. Let's see. People say, people say that, I think you're talking about Nicole Kessinger here, right? Or whoever she's called now. People say that she does it all the time and just has accounts to read messages. I bet, I wouldn't be surprised. So, okay. All right. I'm going to go back down to, oops, wait. Oh gosh. I'm sorry. I missed, Sherry, thank you so much for the super sticker, sweetheart. I saw that a long time ago and then I couldn't find it again. It just came into my vision. Thank you so much, Sherry. You are so generous, always supportive of me and the channel. And I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And Bubba Zahn became a member. Welcome, Bubba Zahn. I haven't even seen you in chat yet, but I've kind of been flying through, but I'm so glad you're here. It's always wonderful to have you here. All right, back to Deception Detective. Let's see what he says about when she says, leave him alone.
Yeah, it's in a text, and it's like, it was like briefly after I walked in the door, so based off how long it takes me to get home from work and when I clocked out, it's probably about 3:45 p.m. Texts me and tells me that. And like, he knows when I get off of work too, so he doesn't always bug me if I'm busy. So I don't know what's up with that, but that's when he sends that to me. And
so you're saying that he would have known that you would have had your phone available to you and not been at work when he sent you that text message.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
So looking back at it, you think it was purposefully sent at that time?
I'm sure.
I'm just asking your feeling on that.
Yes, and then he said, call me when you can. And I was
there was
like,
no other communication between you and him that morning, on Monday morning.
Well, there was, but it was like random,
but nothing about this event.
No.
About like my wife's missing, or anything.
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
And you knew.
Now, of course, what she's neglecting to tell him right here when he's saying, what was the nature of your other communications on Monday morning is that they weren't just texting. They did get on the phone and talk to one another. And she later reveals that to him in a different interview in the August 21st phone interview. And she says that she all of a sudden thinks it's really shady that Chris Watts decided to go right out to Survey 319 instead of stopping in the office first on Monday morning, when she in two previous interviews had said, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Everybody does it all the time, or not all the time, but often enough. It's all good. Don't think that's weird. Then all of a sudden she changes her tune and she accidentally reveals to Kevin Kobach that she was in fact on the phone, like talkie with Chris Watts Monday morning while he was at Survey 319 when she asked him to send her proof that he was actually at Survey 319, because for some reason that's what she did. And for whatever that might mean, we definitely get a little glimpse into Nicole Kessinger's, the side of Nicole Kessinger she doesn't want us to see, who is either committing a heinous crime or is just, it's a really bad look to be super jealous, possessive, demanding, bitchy, skanky empanada lady, right? So let me continue to play.
He wasn't coming to the office because he had told you that Sunday night.
Yeah, and then he goes, and so like they're only in the office for the morning. Like
Right.
some days it's longer than others, but I would say by a maximum of 7:30 every single morning they're all gone, and they don't come back unless they have like a meeting or something that they have to attend. So like not seeing him for the rest of the day is not like an unnormal thing.
Okay.
Like, but like I'm saying, like we don't really. The only reason we interact was kind of like by an off chance thing. Like I don't work with him.
Mhm.
So he we talked like randomly throughout the day, but it was really sporadic and he seemed pretty busy. So we didn't talk too much. Like I said, didn't put too much thought into it. It happens all the time. Waited till about 3:45, then sent that text to me. And yes, he does know that I will be home at that point. Or getting home.
Did you give Mark Jim's information?
Here we go.
No, I would really not like to involve him in this.
Okay.
He does not know about this. He doesn't know any of this is occurring.
Okay.
Like I was
So
literally
he knows certainly through the media that something's occurred.
Yeah, he's
with
like
Chris.
out of town. He's probably has no
Okay.
idea. He doesn't know
Okay.
who Chris is. Like I do not know.
So he's just a friend of yours
yes.
um,
He does
that
not need to
was
be
coming to
dragged
your
into this.
apartment and doesn't know anything about Chris. Does he know anything about Chris?
No,
Okay.
nothing. Absolutely
And we've
not.
known Jim for
Yeah.
years and years.
It is interesting the
Right.
timing of Jim's appearance the same day that Chris kills his family. I wonder, like I said, I know very little about this case outside of what I've seen in this interview so far. Was Nicole using Jim as a tool to manipulate Chris, to get him jealous, to get him envious, to rile him up enough to leave his wife? Well, if you're not going to be with me, I've got plenty of suitors, Chris. I have Jim flying down right now. He's going to be sleeping at my house tonight.
And I'm not going to be
So if
leaving
I don't
Jim
see your
alone.
house on Zillow by the morning, and I don't see your wife's wedding ring off her finger so you can show it to me and show that she threw it away, well, then I'll just stick with Jim. Have fun with your wife.
Bitch.
You're not
Sorry.
dating him or anything
Just
like
one
that.
No,
second here.
he's like one of my very good.
I just have to say, Stevie, I know it's empanada, but it's just kind of become a joke because I was saying empanada, I know, incorrectly, and so many of you graciously corrected me. Thank you so much. But now I kind of flip-flop back and forth for various reasons because it's been discussed. But I do know it's empanada. I don't mean to be disrespectful, and thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Good friends. Like my dad knows him. He's a great guy. He works out of state a lot, so when he's in town, we hang
When he
out.
asked
But when
about
he's in
that-
town, he's off of work to save time. So I give him the key to my house. One, because I trust him and he's one of my best friends, and two,
Because I'm a skanky
'Cause,
whore. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean empanada.
sometimes he will just meet me there because I'll be like, hey, I'm getting off of work. And then if I get stuck in traffic or something, he ends up like sitting outside of my apartment waiting for me to get off of work. So I'm like, here's the key. And like my dog loves him and stuff. So no, he's not.
So he's just
involved
family
with it.
friends.
Yes, I don't
The
even
only
know
reason I
if he's
asked,
dragged into this.
and I'm not really concerned about your location.
You should
I think we
be.
already
My
have your cell
God.
phone records. At some point, did Mark ask you to supply? Did they ask for consent to get cell phone
Oops, sorry.
records? That'll probably be done by warrant. If we
Isn't that
wanted,
what you just did?
nope. What I'm talking about is your movement.
Oh.
By GPS or by cell phone tower to show where you were. Obviously, and I don't want to cause you concern, we want to know where you were that day too.
Thank
You're
God.
dating a man who did some egregious stuff, and we want to show that you were never near him that day. Period.
I mean, you guys
So-
can track my.
No, yeah, I
stuff.
mean that was something we will have to get a warrant for, anyways. I'm just saying, if we asked for it, would you have any
Yeah,
objections to that?
No, you can have
Right.
it.
So,
And I'm
we'll-
a pretty boring person. I
well,
don't
it sounds
go
like
too
you
many
just went to
places.
work that day, and then you came home and you're there at 3:45.
Yeah, like
on
give or
Monday.
take like 5
Yeah,
minutes.
whatever.
But yeah, so 3:45. I meet Jim there. Yeah, I was.
And
totally
so
there.
Jim is understand from an investigative point, he could be a person who could say, yeah, I was there at 3:45. He doesn't know Chris. He doesn't know anything. He could say with one phone call, yeah, she came in at 3:45, done.
Totally.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I don't have to ask anything more than, hi, Chris, my name's Kevin. Or Jim. And I'm not saying you have to give it to me.
Just leave Jim
But
alone.
if
Jim does
at
not need
some
to be wrapped
point-
up in this.
If at some point I needed Jim's info,
Look at that fancy body language. Look at her. Selfish little entitled brat.
to, let's say we couldn't find your phone records, would you
You
tell me
can
who
have
Jim
them.
is?
I will give them to you.
I will give them to you. You can have them. Daddy, help.
Would you tell me who Jim was if I
If
couldn't
you
get it?
had to, I don't really want to involve him in this. That's not fair to him. That's not.
Look at her
Now
look
we're
at the
starting.
camera. That's not fair to him. When she's saying shady stuff, she always looks up at the camera. Have you guys noticed? Well, not always. Very frequently looks up at the camera. Have you guys noticed that? It's just weird.
Starting to see a little bit more of Nicole's true colors,
Uh-huh.
where she's interrupting, pouting, being moody, acting like a petulant child.
Yeah, petulant child. That's what I was meaning to say.
Remember, this is
Petulant
3 days
child.
after her boyfriend murdered his entire family, including an unborn baby. And she's getting petulant over them wanting to question a
Seriously.
guy who
Oops. Why does he keep doing
could corroborate her alibi on the day of the murders.
No, if I do not have to do that.
That's fine.
that?
Yeah. So, anyways, Chris was like, "Call me."
And this is the 3:45 text.
Yeah, he sent me like a few. I think there was 3 of them, and I don't remember what the other one said. But something about like, yeah, my family's gone, or I don't remember verbatim. But call me when you can, or call me when you have a chance. Something to that effect. And so when he told me call me, I was like kind of alerted, where I was like, okay, what's going on, you know? But first when he told me like his family was like not home, that didn't really seem odd to me that his family wasn't home. It was really vague. I'm like, okay, like, are they at the grocery store? Like, elaborate. And so, you know, and then, but he says, call me like it's like an emergency, but then just says that they're not there. And so I'm like really like floored by that. Well, not like floored, but just kind of like, he says, call me. So I'm concerned. And then he's really vague. So I'm like, maybe he just wants to talk to me. I don't know. I think it took me a little while to like really.
If you're watching this, you can see the patronizing things she does.
Mm-hmm.
So where Chris says, call me, if he gives her an order, an instruction, she gets very patronizing. Elaborate, right? Her eyebrows raised, almost like a teacher talking to a kid who has given an instruction to the teacher, right? That she's bemused by it. And we see lots of people on my channel who do this, like Jada Pinkett Smith or Ruby Frankie, where they treat people as lesser than in order to humiliate them and humble them. And I don't know whether or not Nicole is a sadist, but she is definitely a manipulator. And she's very good at it, right? She's handling her dad on one side, she's handling the officer on the other side, and she clearly spoke to Chris in a way where she was humbling him and controlling him to a certain degree. And I'm going to elaborate on that theme in a minute here. But let's just listen to a little bit more and see if we can pick up a couple more tactics that she uses to manipulate and some more examples of where her true colors lead through.
Really process the severity of the situation, just because this is not something that you expect to see every day. And the way that he talked to me made me believe that this is not what was going on at all.
Okay, so you make a phone call to him and you guys have a conversation.
I did. I stepped outside.
This is 3:45.
Ish. I mean, well, like, I think I actually interacted with Jim for like probably a good 15 or 20 minutes. I mean, he's my guest. He's in my house. So I don't think I called him right away. But like, I mean, I'm trying to balance the fact that I have my friend here, and then Chris is saying that something needs to be addressed. But to me, it didn't sound like an emergency. I mean, it's all the time. Like, people aren't home right now, you know. So it wasn't like, oh my God, I have to take this call.
It didn't register as being critical.
No. I mean, it was the way he said it, and I was like, okay. So I remember hanging out with Jim for a while, and then I stepped outside. And I made a call like out on my back patio, and I called him. And he didn't answer the phone. And then he texted me back. Oh no, did he answer the phone? I don't remember. I think he missed my call and then he called me back. Or he just answered. Either way, it was a very short talk to him where he was just like, I have to go. The cops are here. And I don't remember if he said that on the phone or over text.
That's
I don't
okay.
even, I'm so tired.
That's fine. You don't
But
need
either
the
way,
different-
like,
it's
the
just
cops,
the context.
Yeah, I mean, you guys will figure it out. The cops are here. And I'm just like, all right. And then I remember we were like we were texting, but I was like hanging out with my company. So it wasn't like a nonstop text. It was just kind of like I would check my phone every once in a while and we would communicate with each other. And he was just saying like they weren't there and that her friend Nikki was there and that her friend Nikki had called the cops. And I'm like, why would this girl call the cops? And like,
why would this girl call the
honestly
cops?
do not remember the order of operations on all of this, but I'm pretty
Crazy.
sure the majority of our conversation that night until my friend Jim left the house, which was probably pretty late. I don't even know what time, like 9 or 10, was all via text. So you should have this via text. Like,
Okay.
I don't think we started talking again on the phone until like after my company left. And he was like,
Oh, I'm just a little funky on this. Sorry, it's not. It's the deception check.
Jim was there on Sunday. That might be part of the reason we detected so much reticence when Nicole was asked about what she did on Sunday evening. So during the day, she said that she was at the museum with her family, but then in the evening, she got very vague. Like maybe I watched Netflix. And this could be an explanation why. Instead of just watching Netflix, maybe it was Netflix and chill with Jim, and she doesn't want to seem promiscuous to the police. Or if she can avoid it, not disclose all that to Jim, because maybe Jim really doesn't know about Chris. Or she's just concerned about how she'll be perceived because she has already seen some media writing about this case in the newspaper and she doesn't want it all to get out about her. So the fact is that just because we detect deception does not mean the person is guilty. And by guilty, I mean in the legal sense of the word, that they committed a crime.
Yeah.
They
Okay. So I just thought that was really insightful by the deception detective, as I think all of his videos are on Nicole Kessinger and other topics that he covers, because I have been watching them and I think he is pretty terrific. Let me hop back over to StreamYard. Alrighty. Let's see here. I don't know how to do this today. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So, all right. So we know this. We know that Nicole Kessinger, on Monday, let's just talk about Monday for a moment. We know that just before Monday started, really, she and Chris Watts ended that 111-minute phone conversation. So that ends at 11:19 on Sunday evening, August 12th, just hours before Shanann, Bella, and Celeste were murdered. Oh, it's so sad. Just way too many coincidences for anyone, I think, to feel comfortable where Nicole Kessinger is concerned with this case. Let me just share the screen here. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I think this is it. I think this is it. All right, let me just get you through to. So, Chris Watts' mistress, NK, or Miss Kessinger, I'm trying to call her, pinged off a Frederick, Colorado tower on August 13th, 2018. Okay, and it is that ping that we know is the first thing that we know about her Monday morning, that we know for a fact. Well, we know that we should say it like this. We know that her phone pinged off the Frederick, Colorado tower. And I go on to explain here why that is so novel. We can make a very reasonable assumption that she was with her phone. We have absolutely no reason to not believe she was not with her phone or that she's really ever not with her phone. So we know that at 6:16 a.m. ping is the first thing that happens, right? As far as the facts, the solid things that we know. We know that there is a missing record of her clocking into work on that Monday morning that she herself mentions what time she got out several times. She makes a point of mentioning it, but she never ever mentions when she clocked in or even anything about her work earlier in the day. So WTAF is up with that, right? We don't know. We're trying to figure that out. Now, the next thing that we know about Nicole Kessinger, strangely enough, and in the video that I have coming out on this topic, I make some nice little visual outlines and timelines for you guys so you can like see this, because I think it's a lot easier when what I'm saying is grounded in an actual visual timeline. So I do have that for you, but I don't have it ready for you right now. So the next thing that we know Nicole Kessinger was up to on that Monday morning was when we hear her telling Kevin Kovac, very much by accident, she's like a really good liar, but she's not always a good liar. And I think that she's not a good liar at times because she can't keep all of her damn lies straight. I think for the most part, she's an excellent liar because she's so versed in lying and she seems very comfortable with it. It's really kind of just disgusting. So the next thing we absolutely positively know that she does is she talks to Chris Watts early in the day, in the morning. I'm going to find a little clip for you here. And she demands that Chris Watts send her proof that he is actually at Survey 319. She wants proof that he is in Survey 319. So far, let's just review the two things that we know so far Nicole Kessinger has done, in fact, on the day of the murder. Number one, she pings in Frederick, Colorado at 6:16 a.m. Number two, she demands sometime in the morning, Chris Watts send her actual proof that he is at Survey 319 for whatever reason. Pretty shady so far, don't you think? I sure do. Guys, why is this significant? Let me try to spell it out for you here. So, number one, NK's phone pinged in Frederick, Colorado only 4 times during the 6-week period when her records were looked at. And in total, this is July 4th, July 14th, July 18th, and August 13th. And guys, we're going to get really deep into this pretty soon. I think it's going to be some interesting stuff. Number two, the morning of August 13th is when Chris Watts' family went missing. Shanann was last captured on camera early that morning at 1:48 a.m. 3, a ping is a communication regarding location of the phone that the ping is connected to. It should say there, relative to a cellular tower, or actually more precisely, guys, it'd be relative to a cellular antenna that serves the carrier that user is subscribed to. Okay, but that's very specific. Number 4, the location of the tower that NK's phone pinged off of combined with the location of the other towers with Verizon antennas narrows down the possibilities of what this ping means. So please remember, this is not the only piece of incriminating information that has been put out there regarding Miss Kessinger's possible knowledge of involvement in, after the fact participation in this horrific tragedy that happened, when the world lost beautiful Shanann Watts, Bella Watts, Les Watts, and the unborn Nico Watts. Terrible, horrendous tragedy. So getting right, whoops, not that far into it though. So now remember, the date range that we are looking at is July 14th to August 13th. So we're going to go through page by page of the cell phone records. We're not really doing that, but I just had to check something out. So again, we're trying to talk about super pertinent. Okay. So yeah, so this just out from a very reliable source. And again, I appreciate Suspicious what you said, because we don't want people to leave the live stream to go check this out. But let me just tell you right now, this is something I had not heard of, but I certainly do rely upon this source when I want facts, when I want truth, and all that good stuff in a true crime case. That, where'd it go? Let's see here. Zoop. It just says this, guys. So this is about the new owners of 2825 Saratoga Trail. We're going off track a little here for a moment because I know that this is a hot topic right now and y'all want to know about it. So I told you what I knew about this, during the last live stream. I certainly was not told anything about this information that I'm about to tell you. Apparently, the husband, Mr. Miller, we're going to call him, and his last name is Miller, who bought Chris and Shanann Watts' house, pled guilty to harassment as domestic violence act today, Friday, April 26th. So, wow. So it says, husband who bought Chris and Shanann Watts' house pled guilty to harassment as domestic violence act. And that just happened today, Friday, April 26th. Okay. So that is definitely some new information. And yeah, wow. I wonder exactly what happened. We are definitely going to have to find out. And well, it is a matter of public record if there was a court hearing and he pled. So now we will be able to find that. And that will be very interesting, but sad to look into. Wow. Let me check in the chat here really quick. That was a while ago. Let me try to get down to current times, guys. Sorry, I keep getting backed up here. Hey, Anaphylaxis, how are you doing? Hey, Alex Booyah, how's it going? Let me just get down to current time. Oh my gosh, you guys are just chatting away. Good for you. Hey, Muck Boys, how are you doing? There we go. Veronica says the Millers should think about making better decisions, especially in the realty market. Perhaps. Yeah, that is crazy, right? And Jacqueline says court costs plus that house payment. What a whammy. Damn, seriously. Let's see who says this. Lager Lake says, welcome, how are you? I Googled it and it says child neglect too. Now remember, these are just things that we're saying right now. I personally, and no one from my channel has looked into this and has had this verified. So when we're saying things like child neglect and domestic abuse and all these things, guys, I just want to be very, very clear that I've not yet researched this myself because I did not know about it until moments ago. Mike Applegate, hey Mike, how's it going? Says that house must be built on an ancient burial ground or something. It certainly feels like that, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, Samantha says, has anyone seen the Tubi special Suburban Nightmare? Yes, I have seen it. In fact, there's a video on my channel all about it. You might want to check out. I couldn't play it because copyright things, but I did an analysis of it. In this movie, it states something about Chris entering through the front door around 10:30ish p.m. in the same night of the infamous 111-minute phone call. Well, so funny you say that because the video that we are watching or that is on right now is going to get to that, and I'm going to explain it when we do get there. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Sorry, I got to get back to what I was trying to get done here so I can just so I can entertain you. Just kidding. Gotta go get my tap dance shoes. Oh my gosh. You guys know that the band Skinned? I made a video about that too. My gosh, I make a video about everything. The band actually it's a group of 2 people. In my video, I think I called it the Creative Outlet because it's not really a band, it's not a solo artist. And they create music and then videos to accompany it based on true crime matters. It's just so it's I can't, there's no words for it. Their videos and the music is so just powerful and well put together and just different and amazing. And they did a song and a video about the Watts case. I was just like updating my video about that so I can share it with you guys again because a lot of people who watch the channel now don't know about it. It's just I don't know why I just told you that because I just came across the video that I was that I'm using or that I'm working on for you guys. Okay, I just have to focus for a minute here. And I'm sorry about my voice. I'm losing my voice today. Kind of have been. I think it's like allergy season. I feel like it happens every year. Do you guys lose your voice during the spring at some point? I just recently have known other people to talk about that. I thought it was like a personal problem, but apparently it's a known allergy symptom or consequence outcome of allergies. And mine are really bad right now, so I'm going to stop talking for a moment while I find this video. It's not back that far. Just one sec. Oh, my child. The loud gamer. Have to love him. Here it is. Okay. Okay. So now remember what I had mentioned to you, and you guys, of course, I'm sure are following along. So the timeline for Nicole Kessinger of what we know that she did so far on Monday, August 13th, the day of the murders, is this. We know that she pinged in Frederick, Colorado at 6:16 a.m., which is something that she really never did in the past. At that time, and she'd only, pinged there 3 other times that we know about. The next thing that we know happened on her Monday, August 13th, the very same day as the murders, is a little later that morning when Chris Watts is out at Survey 319. Nicole Kessinger accidentally slips while talking to Kevin Kobach and mentions that not only was she texting with him that morning, she also was on the phone with him. And when she was on the phone with him, she received the pictures from him that she demanded from him to prove where he was. For what reason? We don't know, but I certainly would like to hear your thoughts on that. Okay, there we go. So let's just take a look at what is said where she accidentally tells Kevin Kobach she was on the phone because up until that point she said they were texting in the morning, but she wasn't on the phone. She messed up. And it is in the redacted portion of the August 21st interview phone call between Kevin Kobach and Nicole Kessinger that's about 2 hours long. But just like the other phone call interview, the second half of this one was without audio, only transcript. So let me just get to that part and we'll take a look. Okay. Back one page. Please excuse my son if you hear him grunting and whatnot while he's playing games. All right, here we go. Okay. when I start remembering stuff, so the big conversation that we were talking about, the really important one where he like gave me all those like weird one-off details, that he was the first long conversation on Monday night. I don't know what time that was, but that was like the first long one where he said all of that stuff. Like all of that was in one conversation. That and when you say all that stuff, like the smelly sheets, talking about the ring. Okay, so I am playing both the part of Nicole Kessinger and Kevin Kovac here because it is clearly a dialogue. So I just want you guys to understand that. Ring. The wedding ring. Okay. The weird part where he slipped up about like him being the one to push the say, okay, gotcha. Them separating and not her. So and and then the EpiPen thing, and then all of that, and then so back to Sunday, August the 12th. That night, I believe we only had one phone conversation. I looked at it. I pulled up my phone records today, and I'm pretty sure we only had one phone conversation. And then I think I just went to bed. Okay. But on Sunday night, the phone conversation, that's the one where I heard the TV on in the background and I was like, maybe he's staying up waiting for her. Do you remember I told you guys that? Yes. I was like, I think it was really weird that the TV was on because he talks to me when he's in bed and he wasn't in bed. So this is the same conversation. In that conversation, he told me, I have to go straight to the field tomorrow. And he was just like, like I'm not going to get to see you in the morning. And I was just like, all right. And I was like, why? And just like, I got to go. He's like, I got to go check out a site and like a release in the morning. And a release is like when the oil industry has like a release of any type of like oil products or anything like from any of our equipment. And I was like, I remember asking him, I was like, well, why would you have to go check out the release? You're not part of the environmental team. So when you say release, is that he was like a spill? Kind of, yeah. I mean, I don't want to call it or like something's leaking or because, yeah, like something's leaking. Like, okay. Anything that's involved with the oil and gas industry, anytime like if a piece of equipment leaks, I mean, you've got to think they've got millions and millions of pieces of equipment. Like, sure, it happens. And so he's like, I have to go check out a release. And I remember asking him, I was like, why do you need to go do that? You're not part of the environmental team because like our field operators, they will find releases and they'll call our environmental team, which is like who I work for. They don't call me though, because I'm not the one that deals with that stuff. But now remember, this is a far cry from the other two times that she talked about, Chris Watts going out to check on this oil release or this little leak on Monday morning, first thing, instead of going to the office first. Or now she's questioning that he even checked up on it at all because she's saying now, and now only, she didn't mention this before, that only people in certain positions and only people that have specialized training really are eligible to go check out something like that because it could be really dangerous and an environmental hazard, a big one. So, just one example of one of her stories that very clearly and starkly changed from one day to the next to suit her, obviously. They do call people like in my department and they say, hey, I'm on this job site and like a tank battery is leaking or oil tanks leaking or something like that. And then we go out and assess it and clean it up and so on and so forth. So it's noted unintelligible. So those are actually specialists that go out and clean this up and he's not one of those people. No, he's not. But sometimes like those guys, like his job is important to like shut in oil wells if there's a leak or like shut valves if there's a leak. Like he he manages the equipment. So when he was he's like, I got to go out, check a release. And I was like, why are you going to do that? That's not your job. And he was just like, I need to go check out some of the equipment where the release occurred. Now, that part really didn't seem too odd to me. I mean, it makes sense that they're like, hey, we have a release. Send an operator out and make sure he said he had to do a lockout, tag out on this site. So that means that depending on where the release is, if it's near a piece of equipment that could be have like potential energy to be hazardous, what we do in the oil industry is what's called lockout tagout. And certified operators such as himself will go out there and they will pull a lock with a tag on the piece of equipment where you operate it, so that it cannot be in use. Like they'll de-energize the piece of equipment and like shut it down, and then they'll put a lockout tag out on it. And then the point is so then if the environmental team comes in to clean up the mess, nobody accidentally re-energizes this piece of equipment while we're trying to clean up the mess because it could injure somebody. Does that make sense? Yes, I got it. Okay, so now I'm remembering this just now, and he's like, I think I gotta go do a lockout tag out on some of that equipment for the release. Would that be something? Okay, so this is really where I should have, started reading this part of the interview, but, I didn't. I went back a little too far because I don't really have every single interview memorized by heart. Please forgive me, but listen up because this is important. This is our second item on Nicole Kessinger's timeline for Monday morning of things we know she actually freaking did. Something that would have been tracked. Certainly, there's a lot of paperwork and safety requirements and all sorts of things with each site. So if he was actually going to do a lockout tagout, would that be something that I'd be able to look up at record at Anadarko and know that he was actually assigned to do that? To be honest with you, probably. Again, I did not work with him, but if there's one thing that I do know about Anadarko and I love, and I'm going to miss those guys so much, it's the fact that they're very safe. Like that is, they're one of the best oil and gas companies because of how safe they are. Okay, I'm just going to, oops, damn it. Hold it, sorry. I do not like this new layout at all. What the heck? So now I'm going to, oh my God, this is so annoying. Just one second. Get back to, let me go to my history. YouTube layout, you suck. All right, here we go. All right, I'm going to move forward to the part where she says that she's on the phone asking him for proof of where he was, because that's really what we want to hear at this point. It's not a piece of equipment that for me to investigate. I'm just kind of trying to get to a job site this morning, and he was like, here we go. Evening, after my friend Jim left, that's when Chris and I spoke on the phone in that first really extended conversation. Again, I don't know exactly what time it was. It was late, but that first really extended conversation, that's when he started kind of all that really creepy stuff. And then in that conversation, I started questioning him. And I was evening, after my friend Jim left, that's when Chris and I spoke on the phone in that first really extended conversation. Again, I don't know exactly what time it was. It was late, but that first really extended conversation, that's when he started kind of all that really creepy stuff. And then in that conversation, I started questioning him. And I was like, do you really, I don't even remember exactly what I said, but I asked him, I was like, did you really go to a job site this morning? And he was like, yeah. I was like, and who told you to go there? And I think he said his foreman had asked him to go, either him or his like co-cowing man is this guy named Troy. I don't know Troy, I don't even know what he looks like. Yeah, by the way, Kelly, that would be co-wing man, not cowing man. But I do know he exists. So I guess their foreman relies on Chris and Troy. Well, that's a lie because Troy told us that Nicole Kessinger and Troy McCoy know each other on a very casual, not, working close together basis, but that was very clearly a lie right there. To kind of like run their little part of the field. And so Chris was like, yeah, my foreman asked either he or Troy go out there and go look at it. And do you know the foreman's name? I don't. He's got a few of them, I think. Okay. I want to say that's okay. Ben Dover. I want to say Luke Epple, but I don't know. You're going to need to find that out with Anadarko too. Okay. That's an Anadarko question. That's all right. And I know who, but Luke is, and I know who Troy is, so probably have already answered that. Okay. All right. Yes. Great. So, anyways, so I told him to prove it because at this point, I mean, the things he'd been saying, like the sheets was kind of weird. You know what it was? It was a wedding ring comment that freaked me out. Like the sheets did, like was kind of weird at the time. The fact that I thought he had just lied to me about their separation, but it was like the wedding ring comment. Like he was so callous. Like he was just ready to like cash it in and get some money. You were telling me. And I was just like, him to prove what? To prove that they had told him to go to the field right away. Okay, so, and he's like, how do you want me to do that? And I was like, you take screenshots of your Anadarko phone and you text them to me. And did he do that? Damn, just think about that for a minute. He's like, and how do I do that? And I'm like, you take screenshots of your Anadarko phone and you text them to me. She is a boss bitch. Like really, she's just like, I really think that Chris Watts was starting to be like, I don't know. I think he still was really attracted to her, still loved the idea of, being with her, still wanted to be part of her life. Being in her life is still something he craved, to paraphrase Watts himself. But I really think that he was second guessing everything, and he started to see these things in her that maybe reminded him of Shanann, or just, reminded him of a person who is like who's like, ew, yuck, I don't want to be that person. And yes, he did. Okay, all right. And he didn't send me the whole conversation, but there was 2 pictures of a release followed intermittently, like there was text like on either side of the picture. And it looked, I didn't get everything. He just sent me like part of their conversation, and I didn't have dates and times on either. Like you couldn't see the dates and times of what he was sending me. So he could have been sending me something that was like not recent. Now she's starting to get all detective on this stuff that he's bringing to her, sending to her, just like with a box of condoms that she did full like research project on the manufacturing dates and blah, blah. She's kind of getting that way. Look, cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. Few hours. Whoops. There were also 2 phone interviews. Booked since 2000. No, he's not. But sometimes, like those guys, like you're a skilled equipment operator. You make the decision. You lock it out if you have to. Then the environmental that makes sense to me, and that's good. So that's good. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't even like think of that till just now. So, anyways, that is a question for Anadarko. That's not a question for me. Yup. So he told me he was going to have to do that. And I was like, all right, cool. And then, so he didn't show up for work. He did show up for work on Monday, but supposedly he was in the field. And then Monday evening, after my friend Jim left, that's when, Chris and I spoke on the phone. in that first really extended conversation. Again, I don't know exactly. Probably have already answered that conversation. Like he was just ready to like cash it in. And it looked I didn't get everything. He just sent me like part of their conversation, and I didn't have dates and times on either. Like you couldn't see the dates and times of what he was sending me. So he could have been sending me something that was like not recent. It could have been something from like weeks ago and I wouldn't have known, but he sent it to me. And he sent it quick. Like it just like instantaneously when I asked him for it, like I was still on the phone with him. Oh, what? She was still on the phone with him. Oopsie, 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 oopsie. She got the text message sending the picture that she demanded and specifically told him what he could submit to her to prove where he was. And she got it while she was still on the phone with him. Not texting him, but on the phone with him. And right. Then I looked at it while I was still on the phone, and it made sense of what he'd been saying, but okay. The only thing in there, yeah, like it almost looked like someone else was originally going to go to that site, and it looked like the conversation, someone I interpreted it, the conversation that had with his foreman and with Troy or whoever was in that conversation. It looked like the conversation had occurred probably at some point over the weekend. And then it looked like Troy, I think, or somebody else in the field was originally going to go out there first thing on Monday, and he told them not to worry about it and that he would do it. Okay. And I don't know the exact words. Like I don't have the whole conversation. Again, it's something that you need to go to Anadarko for that. Yep. Okay. What's next? And yes, well, then that was in that conversation. That's the end of that. And then okay. What else? Oh, okay. And then that same night, remember I told you we had that one big phone conversation. Oops. And then this part of the interview is very interesting too, because she goes into talking about Monday night and she justifies why they had so many interactions and phone conversations on Monday night, whereas she had previously told Kevin Kobach and law enforcement in general that she wasn't concerned about a damn thing concerning, the family being missing and the possibility of Mr. Watts being responsible or partially responsible or fully responsible for that. She didn't have any really concerns. Nothing alerted her until Tuesday morning, at which time she found out Shanann was 15 weeks pregnant. But of course, to try to cover her own ass, although she's doing it very poorly, I must say, she's changing her story yet once again. Yeah. So let me actually show you that in her phone log here. Oops. Okay, holdy. Oh, wow, look at that. I'm right on it. That's great. I just opened Discovery and I'm right on that page. Thank you. I feel like things are going a little rocky for me this evening. I'm glad that worked out smoothly. All right. There. Yay. Oops. So I'm going to bring this in the stream just 1 second. I'm just making it bigger for you so you can actually see it. Okay. Ooh, wow. Crazy. Okay. Crazy. Okay. So we're going to be looking at Nicole Kessinger's phone record for it would be like Monday night going into, the early or morning hours of Tuesday morning. Right now, I just have, okay, I'll tell you once I get this up here. Let me share my screen. Sorry, I got the StreamYard in a different tab, so it's a little funky here. Okay, here we go. Please let me know your thoughts on all of this in chat. I would love to hear what you guys think about any of these topics. Let's see, which one is it? Okay, here we go. All right, so we have Nicole Kessinger's phone log. She had sent this to Dave Baumhover when she finally received her statement for August. I'm sorry, her statement that went from August 14th to September 13th. So the other phone bill she had submitted to law enforcement goes from July 13th to August 13th. Really strange, right? That it ends right on the day of the murders, but it's how it is. Okay. So we have here now it's the early morning hours of August 14th, right? So August 13th is the day of the murders. We know that there were several phone calls that happened in the 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock hour. One very long one, not as long as a 110-minute conversation, but long. And now we have, check this out. We have on August 14th, so now we're at midnight and 8 minutes, 12:08 a.m. We have an incoming call from Chris Watts to Nicole Kessinger that lasts 31 minutes. And next, we have, you know what I'm going to do really quick? I'm going to put the link to come up to panel in the chat if anyone wants to come up, because I can tell I'm about to lose my voice. So, yeah, if somebody else wants to come up to share the talking, that'd be amazing. Chris, Sis, any of y'all, come on up. So this is a link to panel. All right, thank you. There it is. Okay, thank you for your patience. Shit. Oh, whoa. Ooh, that just sound like Nicole Kessinger. She did it. Whoa. Oh my God, guys, I'm starting to embody Nicole Kessinger. You don't like that? Ugh. Oh, gotta go take a shower. Okay, so at 12 midnight and 8 minutes, Chris Watts calls Nicole Kessinger, and that call lasts for 31 minutes. Then at 11:12 a.m., so that's about half an hour after the 31-minute call ends, there's another call, and this time it's Nicole Kessinger to Chris Watts. That lasts for 3 minutes. And then again, at 1:51 a.m., there's another call from Kessinger to Watts that lasts 8 minutes. And then we have a call, and now this is a really interesting, I think, part of the phone calls right here, because this is where it shows us that Nicole Kessinger was likely on the phone with Chris Watts, listening in when he spoke with the police who were trying to get a hold of him that night, right around this 2:06 hour, and they could not get through on his personal phone or something like that. But then he ends up calling them back on his work phone, right? And it happens to be right at the same time as these calls initiated from Chris Watts to Nicole Kessinger at 2:06 a.m. That is the exact same time of the phone call that takes place between Watts and an officer in the station who's asking, does Shanann have any tattoos, scars, or marks on her body? How tall is she? How much does she weigh? And then ask the same about Celeste and Bella. So do you guys know about that? What I'm talking about here? It's pretty damn interesting. I mean, it looks like I feel pretty certain that Kessinger was on the phone with Chris Watts when he had that conversation. He didn't know what police were going to ask him, and that she was listening in. And a lot of other people feel that way as well. So next we have at 2:07 a.m., we have a call from Kessinger to Watts that lasts 11 minutes. And then we get into, what's happening later in the day. So for a person who was really not alerted at all that anything was wrong with the family being missing, as far as Chris Watts was, related to it, him possibly being involved or something like that, she didn't have any concerns about that until Tuesday morning when she found out that Shanann was pregnant. But then in that last interview again, all of a sudden she was changing her tune to account for, I think, this barrage of phone calls that they had into the wee early morning hours of the morning, that night, and then the next morning after the murders. And she also admits to Kobach when she's talking to him about this, that in between these calls, they were FaceTiming. So, that was like a whole lot of connection between these two jackasses. Man. Oh. Link to panel. No one's going to come up and help me say my voice. Oh. Can you just spare yourself for a little lady like me? My throat hurts. All right, let me check out comments here. That's my boy. Yeah. Okay. So we'll link Plunder at the end of this video. Yeah. I'm always really cool about talking about other channels and promoting other channels, especially Plunder. I freaking love her, but just not like during the middle of the live stream. I gave you the information. You can watch it after. You can watch it now if you want, but we're not going to link it right now. She is the sweetest woman ever. I love her. She's wonderful. I gush about her. She's probably like, oh my gosh, Kelly from What's the Obsession has a girl crush on me. I just think she's a great person and she does a really, really like first class job on her content on her channel. It's admirable. Oh, cool. Sherry's here. I'm gonna let Sherry come up. Uh-oh, we've got some reverb, honey. She does a. So Sherry, sweetheart, you got it. Whatever you're watching, you're watching YouTube, of course, in the there where you are. So maybe it's on your phone or on your TV or on your computer or something like that. You have to turn it off so we don't get the echo. Of course, in the there where you are. Okay, I had to mute you again, honey. See if you can figure that out. I'm so sorry. I always want to fix this for people. I hate it when you guys have problems at all, but hey, when you have problems getting up on StreamYard. Let's see. Let me check back on Sherry. Checking on you. Yep, wait, sorry. I'm so sorry, Sherry. You know what we need to get you, Sherry? It's probably like maybe earbuds. Yeah, if you have headphones or earbuds or something, then you can still hear it and be able to turn off the volume that your speakers would pick up that causes that echo. Try one more time. If you have headphones, yeah, I can't do it. It's really loud. Oh, let's see. I don't know. Ooh, Red Sassy Fox says, I've been hoarse for over 3 weeks, and if I don't get my voice back by Monday, I'm going to have to go to the doctor. Yeah, that's like a while. Let's see. Okay, I'm trying to. All right. Sorry, it's too the echo is too loud. I'm so sorry, Sherry. It's just yeah. Oop. Yeah, I gotta mute you. I'm sorry. Oh, I hate that. Oh my God, I am like half an hour behind on chat. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, guys. Let me get back to. Jeez, this is like you guys are chatting away. That would be great. Molson Man says, I know it'll never happen, but I'd love to hear Molson Man and Kelly read out one of the NK interviews. I would love to do that. Maybe I'm going to hit him up and see if he'll do that with me. It would be a much better listen for you guys too. Be more clear. And yeah, that'd be good. You guys are so funny. I'm sorry about that, Sherry. We need to get you earbuds or headphones if you don't have them. Yeah, guys, I'll do another video on like the Miller thing. I don't want to because some people are asking me to go check it out right now. I mean, if somebody gives me a link, possibly I could do that. But once I start to scurry around like that, it gets a little bit crazy. It'd be funny if crusty old Meredith joined tonight. Oh my god. Oh. Oh, earbuds are worse? I don't know. I guess I don't know what I'm talking about then. I don't know. I guess some people that come up as guests, tell me how you do it. Let's see. Okay, so I'm not sorry. I'll go back to chat, but I'm gonna bring in another video. I'm just gonna continue with what I was planning on going over this evening. I think it's this one. No. Yeah, no. Oh crap, which one was it? Wasn't that either? Shit. Oh wait, maybe it's this one. No, type it out. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Okay. Yuck. Home, history, and oh, that is the right one. Okay. Okay, so again, whoopsie. On that Monday timeline of Nicole Kessinger's activities, visual forthcoming. What we know so far about what she did was her 6:16 a.m. ping. Oops, and let me bring this into the stream for you guys. Is it in the stream? I don't know. There we go. Okay. And I'm not going to go over what it means and all that because I know you guys know that. I had made this presentation quite a while ago. And then we also know that she had that exchange with Chris Watts that she was just speaking about where she demanded to see a picture of where he was and they were actually on the phone. We know that happened sometime like in the middle of the morning, early middle of the morning. And oops. That's terrible, horrendous tragedy. So getting right, whoops, not that far into it though. So now remember the date range that we are looking at is July 14th to August 13th. So we're going to, now I'm pretty sure what I'm going to talk about here is I'm just pointing out to you, that the longest calls other than the 111-minute phone conversation that we can see on Nicole Kessinger's phone record, the part that she has submitted to law enforcement, is other than the 111-minute phone conversation, the next longest phone call she had with Chris Watts was 44 minutes. So that is, wow, like a lot less than, wow. It's like over an hour less than the 111-minute phone call. So them being on the phone together for almost 2 hours clearly was not normal. And then the longest call she had, in totality, aside from the 111-minute phone call on the parts of the phone records that had been submitted to law enforcement, which was a span of 3 months, was between her and Jim, leave Jim alone, except for 75 minutes on this longest phone call other than the 111-minute phone call. And so again, that is still, substantially, not as long as the 111-minute phone call. So 111 minutes is 1 hour and 51 minutes. So a 75-minute phone call is 1 hour and 15 minutes. So there's, the 111-minute phone call, we can safely say, was by far the longest phone conversation that she has on her record in this 3-month span of her phone records that we're able to see through what she submitted to law enforcement, or I should say what they released. Oh, I'm sorry. The longest phone call between her and Watts was actually on a different page, and it was 54 minutes, not 44. It was not the norm. 111-minute phone call. Here we see how law enforcement considered Jim to be important enough that they color-coded Miss Kessinger's communications with him right alongside her communications with Chris Watts, who is either the prime suspect of or charged with, at this point, triple plus homicide. Which, for anybody who is curious and, is a little miffed about this Kessinger case or issue, I personally think he's right where he belongs. I think that he, there's no words. Okay, so the next date range in this phone bill that is July. This because we've already done that previously, and I think you guys got the gist. Phone records that is most critical. So this portion of her phone bill records her calls, at least her voice calls, context.
Yeah. So what that page of the phone bill there demonstrates is, let me get back to it,
that, we're talking about the timeline of what we know Kessinger did on Monday the 13th, the day of the murders. First thing we know she did was she pinged in Frederick, Colorado, 6:16 a.m. We know a little bit later that morning she called Chris Watts and demanded for evidence that he was where he was. Why that is, we don't know. I'd like to know your thoughts on that. And, we need to put this in a context, remembering that, it's not on her August 13th timeline per se, but a few hours before the Frederick, Colorado ping, and the previous event on her phone record, and the events are right next to each other. I can't think of the term I want to use. It starts with a C. I don't know. It's too late. It goes 111-minute phone call. Next event on her phone records is at 6:16 a.m. ping. So 2 very questionable, phone activity events happening right in a row, just hours, within a range of hours of when those murders happened in the early morning hours of August 13th. So this is just some pretty shady stuff. And this is all, circumstantial, but as we've been putting it together over the years, it really does start to become concrete. Is to Watts, and that's when she is asked about it just 3 and 4 days. Let's see. All right. There's only 4 total. The additional one being on July 4th, which is not reporting somewhere out in the field. What could that possibly mean? Well, it could put her right there at the scene of the crime. It could mean that, some people have speculated that maybe she was just doing a drive-by, that she knew that, her married boyfriend's wife was coming home just hours before. And remember, Chris Potts had told her that he wasn't going to be coming into the office that morning, but he was going to be reporting somewhere out in the field. So, with her being told all that, knowing all that, and being the very jealous type that I believe she was, was she maybe just driving by to see what was going on in Saratoga Trail?
That
Some
is a
people have
possibility.
speculated on that, and I think we can show that's not the case, and I will be getting to that. But it's also important
It is
to
a
know
possibility.
where Chris Watts was during this time. So, according to documents provided by Tony Husky, who was, I can't remember what his precise position was at Anadarko, but he was the person who was able to. He was the supervisor. So we know that Chris Watts started his truck at 2825 Saratoga Trail at 5:18 a.m. Okay, and then he pulled out of the driveway, and we know that it took him. Let me do the math. Oh, I'm sorry. He didn't pull out the driveway then. I'm sorry. He started his truck, and then his truck sat there for, looks like 28 minutes. Is that right? Yeah, that's the number I had in my head. 28 minutes. Is my math right? Yes, it is. For 28 minutes. And that's the video footage we have from Nate's house where he's going back and forth from the house to the truck, doing specifically what we do not know. Some of us think we have a good idea, but specifically what we still do not know. And we might not ever know, which is maddening. And then at 5:46, he left for Survey 319 at 6:53. So it took him, an hour and 7 minutes. He arrived at Survey 319. So he arrived at Survey 319 at 6:53. All right, so I'm going to move past this part because there's some juicy stuff after here on this video. 6:53 a.m. So when you're looking at this timeline of what was Chris Watts up to that morning, that 6:16 ping would happen, half an hour after Watts apparently left Saratoga Trail and, a little over half an hour before he arrives at Survey 319. So, right in the middle of that, all of that. Get another drink of water. And so, okay. So shortly after that phone call, and then I'm going to be getting right back to those things. Oops. This is the last time that Shanann Watts was seen. Poor Shanann. Okay. She gets out of Nicole Atkinson's car. She goes to the door, and that's it. We never see this beautiful woman again. Okay. So, oops, I better stop there. Also, I'll keep playing sounds. Now, oh, you know what? I have something I need to show you from Discovery. Just 1 second here. Let me just pull up the Discovery because I'm going to have to. 1 second here, guys. Wow, I'm a loud typer. Yeeks. In the Discovery file, other than the fact that record of it existed in that very first rendition of Discovery that Weld County was putting out, that they stopped putting that out very shortly after the Discovery file was released. And they replaced it with the next month's phone record, which is bullshit. It's not useful at all. They don't mention it at all. The 111. Oops. 11-minute phone call. Just wrap your head around this. The 111-minute phone. I know I say this a lot, but I think it's a really big deal. It exists nowhere in Discovery. Nowhere.
The timeline is what I mean.
And when you look at the official Discovery timeline, it is conspicuously missing. So this is really bothersome. So this is a piece of information in addition to the information about the ping that we need to consider when we are thinking about, okay, is justice complete, or is there more justice to be served in this case? Forgot there was so much on August 12th. Okay, so here starts August 12th. So August 12th was a Sunday, the day before the family went missing.
Dude, I'm sorry. I just totally spaced out. I think I like dozed off for a minute there. That was super weird. Because there was no sound or movement or anything. Yeah, that was not the weird paranormal things in my house. That was me like just being tired. Sorry.
So it does say not found in Watt's phone. Shanann sent him a message and it said, "Good morning, baby. Love you." Now, this is kind of interesting and really very just sad and disgusting. You know, there are people out there that somehow say, NK needs to be further investigated, but Chris Watts is innocent. I don't think that at all. I think the man is exactly where he needs to be. He is far from innocent. And I think that there is substantial proof of that. Whether Weld County did the best job or not, I guess that's debatable, but he's where he
not.
needs to be.
I lied.
One
You
of
did a bad job.
the pieces of evidence that points to the fact that I believe he had a consciousness of guilt, which is a legal indicator of guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the standard in a criminal case. Whereas in, some civil cases, the standard would be what a reasonable person would do. In a criminal case, it's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. But anyhow, is the fact that there were certain things that were not found in his phone. They were missing. They were deleted. And they were all things that had to do with Shanann and his relationship with Shanann, his marriage to Shanann, and his communication with Shanann. So in the few days before this terrible tragedy happened, he was deleting her communications out of his phone, like he was erasing her out of his life, which hurts me to say, but we have to talk about things for what they are. Okay. So as you look at August 12th, 2018, you'll see that there are other things that were not found in his phone having to do with Shanann. I'm not going to go through all those now because that's a different topic.
I'm going through them in the
what I
video
want you
that
to see
is forthcoming though, which it will be out any moment now. I have so many videos that are just that are complete or almost complete that are ready to come out. And I'm talking really long, massive. I've been working on forever Watts videos. I just don't want to put them out all at once. So I'm trying to be smart about it. But in my trying to be smart, I am also finding myself in a state of indecision.
It is during the hours of, later in the evening when that 111-minute phone call happened. There's no record of it here. Okay. So 2109. So that's 9:09 p.m. Right. So at 9:09 p.m., Shanann, all the way from Arizona, with a baby growing in her belly, having been treated so poorly by her husband, is saying to him, "Poor darling, what kind of vegetables do you want with dinner tomorrow?" And Watts just replies, "Green beans." Not even thank you. Thank you, baby. "Oh, I know. Don't let me take care of it. Why don't you rest your feet? You're 15 weeks pregnant and I've treated you like shit." No, he just, the way this is awful. His treatment of her is despicable. Anyhow, then she says she was ready to come home. Shanann soon told Watts that she was ready to come home, and I think it means he replies, "I'm ready for bed." So here at 9:13, there's another communication. She's saying she's going to be late. And right here, guys, between 21:13, which is 9:13 p.m., and 21:29, which is 11:29 p.m., which is 10 minutes after he got off the phone with Kessinger. We're going to look at something tonight that happened in that 10 minutes too. That's interesting. There's nothing here on this official timeline. Between these hours of 21:13 or 9:13 and 11:29, there should be listed the 2-hour phone conversation that occurred between Watts and Kessinger that was unlike any other phone conversation they ever had in the history of their communication, according to the phone records. So this right here is a screenshot from the officer Conrad or Coonrad, however you say his name, from his camera.
So I believe this might be one of the things that a couple of you were talking about in chat earlier on. Another thing that we have some access to, but not nearly a complete record of the information, is the Vimit alert system and the router log. But let's just look at what we can see from our buddy Nate Trinistich, neighbor Nate's security camera, looking at Chris Watts' driveway and such.
His body camera while he was in neighbor Nate's house. And neighbor Nate is, of course, the guy who had all that security camera footage pointed towards Watts' house. What I've circled here in yellow is a screenshot of his security camera menu that is dated at 11:25 p.m. on Sunday, August 12th. And it shows headlights going by the Watts house. So that is most likely, based on what we know about how Nate's security camera works, what triggers it, and when it starts recording, we can safely deduct, I would say. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. I'd be happy to talk about it. Questioning things, you'll learn more about them. We think we can safely say it's that car going by that set off Nate's security camera. So there's
Miss Dark Humor, I was just going to pop you back up there really quick. I just had a little technical thing going on. If you do want to come back up.
a car going by at 11:25 p.m. So this is 6 minutes after his 111-minute phone call with his former mistress ended, and it is 4 minutes before he finally responds to oh no, she made an unanswered call, so he doesn't even respond. Okay, yeah, so all we need to know then is it's just a couple minutes after that phone call. And
I for some reason the volume just goes out there. I don't know why. Why did that happen? I know I'm having a hard time catching up to real time in chat here. I just keep scrolling. What if we find out Nicole Kessinger is the devil? I wouldn't be shocked, I guess. Oh, thank you, Jody. And yes, welcome, Toonie, to WhatsApp Session membership. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Let's see. Anaphylaxis says, people don't need the devil to do evil things. Ain't that the truth, Anaphylaxis? Amen. Let's see. Okay, let me continue to play this because I'm getting to a point here. Woo! Oh yeah, it is. Why do you do that? I don't want to watch Ruby Frankie. She's disgusting.
Here, things that make a difference.
Right, here we go. Sorry, I was just being whiny like NK.
For what they are, okay? So as you look at August 12th, 2018, you'll see that there are other things that were not found in his phone having to do with Shanann. I'm not going to
Okay. Oh,
on Sunday. who had all that security camera footage pointed towards Watt's house. What I've circled here in yellow is a screenshot of his security camera menu that is dated at 11:25 p.m. on Sunday, August 12th. And it shows headlights going by the Watts house. So that is most likely based on what we know about how Nate's security camera works, what triggers it, and when it starts recording. We can safely deduct, I would say. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. I'd be happy to talk about it. Questioning things, you learn more about them. We think we can safely say it's that car going by that set off Nate's security camera. So there's a car going by at 11:25 p.m. So this is 6 minutes after his 111-minute phone call with his former mistress ended. And it is 4 minutes before he finally responds to oh no, she made an unanswered call, so he doesn't even respond. Okay, yeah, so all we need to know then is it's just a couple minutes after that phone call. And
Okay. All right. So then here I make a little chart for you of the phone calls and whoops. Let's see. The volume. Okay, it doesn't. So let me just talk through this. So you can just kind of see here. We have these other things that happened relative to the 111-minute phone call. So you see at the top in yellow is that the 111-minute phone call is from 9:28 to 11:19 p.m. And then the things that are in red are, things that Watts never responded to. Unfortunately, it was Shanann. She made an unanswered call to Chris Watts at 9:29. How ironic. It's just 1 minute after the 111-minute phone conversation starts. Isn't that weird? I mean, yeah. And then Shanann also texts Watts at 9:44 p.m. to tell him that her flight is going to be late, that there's bad thunderstorms in Arizona. Now, right after the 111-minute phone conversation, 2 minutes after it ends to be exact, or about there, Chris Watts then texts Shanann back in response to her 9:44 p.m. text saying like, oh, damn, that's late, or something really mundane like that. And then 6 minutes after the 111-minute phone call ends, we have those headlights on Nate's security camera system, likely triggering the camera to come on, going slowly right by the Watts residence. Where they go from there, we don't know, because we don't see the continuation of that security camera footage, unfortunately. And there's some stuff that has to do with the routers that I did not put in this video, but it's on my forthcoming video, which I think is super interesting. I would try to talk about it right now, but my voice is really like kicking out. Let's see.
on to the ping. So we
we already know about the ping. Let's see here. Do you guys want to watch the ping information? I think most of you have already seen this. I have it included in a couple of my videos because this is when I got the tower information for the towers in that area on that very exact date, August 13th, and with all the specific carrier information, which is something that is not available to the public. That's why I included it in
cell map
a few videos, because it is like special information, I guess. I can only think of the word special right now. Okay. I'm putting the link to panel up one more time. If anyone wants to come up, man, I freaking hate this new layout. Do you guys all have the new layout? And what do you think of it? It's really like not good for creators. See link. Here we go. Let's see. Okay. Oops. Oh my gosh. There. Okay. There we go. I pin it from there. Let's see. Amy says, hi, Amy, how are you? Says, I personally believe Chris and Nicole knew each other longer than they are admitting. I think that is definitely very possible. And let's see. Peter Brad agrees with Amy. There goes my son screaming while he's playing whatever games. I don't even know what he's playing. Oh my gosh. Sarah says, please don't forget to click the like button. Yes, I'd really appreciate it. Please do that. Thank you, Sarah. Seriously says, she said substance abuse may not be involved in that'll do it every time, or may be involved in that'll do it every time. Okay. Mr. Garlic Man has high standards, saying, you're so funny, Mr. Garlic Man. I'm drinking a Mountain Dew pop and listening to Kelly talk life. Can't get no better than that. Amen, Mr. Garlic Man. Okay, I see. Thank you, moderators. You're awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jody. Hey, sis. How you doing, girl?
Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Just losing my voice a little bit. Little allergy tired. But other than that, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I was heard you say that the first time. I was advocating for a bunny break while we were waiting for someone to join. I wanted to see them. How are they?
I'll grab one in a minute and
Okay.
put one on stage here.
Yes. My favorite.
I didn't see that. They're so cute. You guys are so cute. So what's on your mind, my friend, other than bunnies?
Not much. I just was feeling bad. No one was joining. I don't really have a whole lot to add tonight, but you know me, I never stop talking. But I just wanted to come up, and I was listening to you, and I figured I'd have something to say before too long. But I just don't want to be alone.
You're so funny. You are so funny. Let's see. What do you think of the? Okay, so when we were watching the clip from the deception detective earlier, he talked about the fact that he believes that Nicole Kessinger was increasingly pressuring Chris Watts to, first of all, you better get that damn house on the market. Like, I don't believe this anymore, that you're going to be selling your house or whatever the case may be, especially after he was cold feet in it on talking about the prospective apartment that he'd be looking for and moving into when there was a lady dog on Saturday night, 2 nights before the murders. And then also really pressuring Watts to, get rid of Shanann once and for all. She should not be wearing her wedding ring. You guys should not be living in the same house, something along those lines. Do you think all of that was going on? And if so, like, detail what other things you might think is going on, or do you think it was something totally different happening?
I think so. I've said before, I don't think I think there was always a plan for whether it was something they talked about or not. Of course, I can speculate what I surmise, but I think in the back of his mind there was at least always a plan for something with Shanann, because in looking for the apartments, whether he admitted to NK or not, even though he spoke to the detectives and looking for an apartment and things, there was never any mention of having a room or space or anything for Nico. If you think back, it was always just the two girls. So if we follow the script, which of course I don't believe that NK didn't know that Shanann was pregnant, either way he did. And so even in regurgitating to the detectives and things, there was just never a mention of moving forward with an apartment and space for his son too. So I think in the back of his mind, you know, whether this is something they talked about together or not, that there was always, you know, Shanann and Nico weren't going to be part of the picture going forward.
Yeah, no,
but
absolutely.
You know, again though, you know, between you and I and the fence post, I think that it was something they talked about, and I think it was something that they spoke about at length. But you know what I think is interesting too, and I watched these you know, like body language analysis and things, which I really do like the Deception Detective. I think he's done a really good job with this series. But I always and you and I have talked about this as well. I think that the way that she was interviewed, okay, it was like leading a horse to drink almost. The way he was asking questions, like the language was so leading. It was almost like a lawyer. Yeah, it was almost like you would expect a lawyer
So
and
it's
a
like
witness on the stand.
cross-examination questions. Yeah.
Right. And I think it would be interesting
Kind
to
of.
see like a language analyst or some type of expert like that, looking at the detective, because again, that's not the way you interview someone. Like you don't, if you're trying to get to an answer, it was like the conversation they had was already predetermined. And so he would ask her questions like, well, what did you tell me about this? And trying to get an answer that they'd already predetermined. So I think that interview, you know, we can look at it and analyze it from her perspective. But I think that conversation and the answers were hashed out many times, rehearsed. And that interview and the video in conjunction was just for, you know, show, I guess, or record purposes, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you on that. And you know what? We have Miss Dark Humor backstage too. So I just want to say hello
she
to
did join. Awesome.
Yeah, Miss Dark Humor, and see what she's thinking about. Hey, how are you doing, my friend?
Hey, good. How are you? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
We
perfectly.
can.
Oh,
Great
perfect.
sound. Yeah, it's
I'm glad you joined. Hi.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Yeah. So what's on your mind?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, so much. So
Kelly, she was saying
We
earlier,
get it.
we were talking in chat, and she's like, I don't know, this isn't really like the topic of like things I want to share. And I told her that you work in behavior. And I said, Kelly's always up for, you know, a conversation and alternate perspective or professional opinion. So if you want to switch gears and change the conversation, I'm actually going to mute for a second and just listen.
Sure.
But feel free.
For sure. So my background is actually mental health. And I have been watching and listening to this case for so long. And I was a huge fan of Shanann Watson. Now, don't get me wrong, I still am. I just feel like something that we need to bring to the table is maybe some of the difficulties that she was having with the kids, with the finances, with Chris, and how maybe like everyone kind of was a bit of a player in the unfortunate demise of this family. And it really is unfortunate that people didn't intervene when they should have. And I don't know if everyone has the same sentiment. Like I don't know. I watch Shanann's videos still, and she just has such like a very soothing voice, and she's so easy to listen to. You can see that she has such a bright personality, and she does bring so much to the table. I'm so like unsure where this kind of like disconnect happened between her and Chris, and his in-laws and her family.
Yeah. No, wait, I want to ask you a question. That's really interesting, everything you just said there. And I agree with you. I mean, I think that's why it's so important to look at the family dynamics, because it is within those family dynamics that we see how everything came together in a way that allowed fate to play out like this, as horrible as it is. And no, I'm not saying that she did it herself or she deserved it. So everyone can just shut up about that. Like D.A. Rourke says, leave me alone. No, I'm just kidding. But, you know, so you just said it's unfortunate that, you know, people in her life did not speak up and say something in the right timing. And, you know, I still do feel that way, but that was definitely my first thought. But then as I thought about it just a little bit more, I was like, well, wait a minute. Let's look at what happens to people who do stand up to Shanann, even, you know, in a loving way, or with the best of intentions. The examples of that we can see, you know, they aren't received well. You know,
Mhm.
criticisms or suggestions, or you know, and she, like, let's look at Cindy Watts. You know, Cindy Watts, you know, I believe Nukke is, I don't think it's, I think it's
Yeah.
it's a nothing burger, as they say in politics.
Mhm, mhm.
But you know, she, for doing basically what I consider to be practically nothing, she eliminated Cindy Watts and Ronnie Watts from her life, from Chris's life, and from her children's life, you know, forever. You know, so is that what happens to anybody who dares to stand up to Shanann? And you know,
Well, I think
is
it
that
could.
why people don't say something? We don't. I mean, I don't think we really know, but maybe we do. What do you, but I just want to put that out there.
I think a lot of it could just be subconscious. If you look at like the personality dynamics, let's say you have someone with a very strong personality, and I would, you know, think it's fair to say, in my very non-professional opinion, that she was an alpha. Shanann was definitely an alpha
Mm-hmm.
personality. She was definitely a go-getter, and she was surrounded by a bunch of betas. And so it's not necessarily that people, oh, you know, this. I don't even know if it's necessarily a
I think she
resignation
surrounded
of not wanting to
herself
deal
by a
with
bunch of
her.
betas. Yeah.
Right. I think
Mhm.
she wanted to control the situation. But if
Yeah.
you look at Chris, you know, he was
Yeah.
definitely, in my opinion, what I would call a beta male, but his parents were also betas too. So in order to not rock the boat or not argue with her, it was easy for them to just like retract and fade into the distance and avoid
Mm-hmm.
getting into conflict with her, you know,
Yeah.
let alone even trying to approach her or even a conscious decision. I think it was just, you know, they were intimidated by her and they just avoided. I think it was
Yeah,
avoidance.
I think this was a if we look back at Shanann's history, her dad had a strong history of alcoholism while she was growing up, and that's why she reached out to, I think it was her drama teacher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so she really looked to him for guidance and support, and you know, like she really did. Like, listen, growing up with an alcoholic father, that's a really hard thing to deal with, and
Mhm.
there's a lot of fallout from that, right? So
Mhm.
I definitely think Shanann had some, you know, some control issues, and you know, we can you know, we can blame her for that, or we can just say that that was her way of dealing with trauma,
Sure.
right? Was to
Yeah.
maintain control of everything in her life as
Yeah.
much as she,
It's definitely a classic
yes.
trauma response.
Yeah, exactly,
Mhm.
right? So I think the thing here is that um it was just, there were so many things that were like financially that were not disclosed within their own, like within Shanann's own family, and I think that
Yeah.
really contributed to a really bad outcome. And again, I'm not again, I am for Shanann and the girls and Nico, and they did not deserve this at all whatsoever. But I think if we can look at the warning signs and like the red flags of where this could
Yeah.
possibly end up, I really feel like, I really do feel like, and I mean, and Shanann tried with, she did try with her in-laws quite a lot, but I think they had their own, um, uh, uh, you know, they had their own feelings of Shanann, right? So I think
Yeah.
that kind of,
And
I think
clearly
that
they were very strong for them to not show up to their son's wedding for the love
exactly.
of God.
That is such a red
Ooh,
flag. Like
yeah.
at your wedding, when your in-laws don't
Ugh.
show up, that is a bad sign. So
Yeah.
I think that this, I really feel like now, um, before I get into what I really feel like, do I think that NK was a very bad part of this? Yes, I absolutely do. I do not think, given NK's criminal history and her clear defiance with authority
Yeah.
and her manipulation with authority. Listen, this girl came with a lot of baggage, really
Yes.
bad baggage, and
Yes.
Chris was not prepared for this. And
No.
as much as he loved the affections and everything that NK was giving him, that he felt like he was missing with Shanann,
Right.
he was going to be set up for a bad situation with NK, even if Chris had done the right thing and just walked out of the house and never looked back. I think if he were to continue his future with NK, it was going to end up badly that way as well. Now, how badly that would have ended up, I don't know. But I feel like there were so many failing parts in this family, that there were so many players in the demise of this. And could this have been because some people didn't feel comfortable confronting Shanann? Maybe so. But that doesn't, like we don't know the ins and the outs. We don't know if the family confronted Shanann about certain things. We don't know if they confronted Chris about certain things. We don't know if anyone talked to them about their finances or the medical bills, or what was medically going on with the kids, what was not medically going on with the girls. We don't know. It's just, this is such a failure. It's like a system failure. All of the parts were not working.
Yeah.
And this led to, oh my God, like such a, like the worst thing that could have happened is what happened in this kind of scenario. And if we can all just kind of like just look at all of the moving parts in this and see where this went wrong, I really do feel like this could help
Yes.
this could help future women, this could help future men, future families.
Amen, girl.
Yeah, right? Like this could help
Yeah.
so many people, because Chris does not seem like, if you watch him and you listen to him, he does not seem like a family annihilator. He does not seem like the guy
No.
that is going to put his hands on his wife and end her life and end the life of his children.
Right.
And I have my own thoughts about NK. I've watched Nate's video footage over and over and over and over and over again. So many times my boyfriend and I have watched that over and over and over again. And do I feel like someone else was there that morning walking out of the house? Yes, I do. Now, do I think that she had something to do with the demise of the children? I don't know. I do feel like Chris was, for the most part, the majority of the player in that. But
Yeah.
I do feel like there was something else going on. And oh my God, like I can't help but think that the reason that none of us can let this go and we can't just move on is because there are missing pieces. There
Yeah.
are things that need to be revealed,
Yeah.
that should be revealed. Her deleted text messages, the 111-minute phone call that she claims she does not
Yeah.
remember what they spoke about.
Yeah.
None of this makes any sense. And when you
Right.
see Chris, and when you listen to him and when you watch him, he doesn't strike you as a murderer. He doesn't strike as that. Now, is he a beta male that just lost his mind one day? Like, we don't know. Was this premeditated? I feel like it was premeditated to some extent. I don't know why he wishes he didn't go to the lazy dog that night with NK. Was he planning on, was he trying to tell NK that he was trying to work on things with his wife and he didn't really want to go through with this affair, and then things went awry? That is why they had the 111-minute phone call. And maybe, NK was like pressuring him. Like, we don't know what happened. But what I can say is that there was a failure on so many parts in this family, that if there was some kind of a strong intervention of some sort, I feel like this family could have been saved.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And Chris was up on panel. I don't know, she was on panel last week and the week before. And Chris is also I'm a behavioral therapist. She's in a similar field of work. And she was saying, she and I both agree that very much along the lines of what you're saying. I mean, everything you're saying, I totally agree with. I'm like so happy you're saying all of this. Like a lot of the points that you made there, and like you specifically made them so well, are things that I have been saying over the years to people in response to, let them be in peace, leave them alone. You shouldn't be talking about this. Shame on you. You're a horrible person. Death threat, whatever.
Yeah.
These are like the kind of thing, because I really truly believe that everything you just said, and you said it so well. I absolutely truly believe it, and that is really why this channel does exist. Now, Chris and I were both saying that, she put it really well. If like there was one element of what happened, in that family interaction between Shanann and Chris in that family unit, that we both believe was critical in,
leading Chris to, familicide, it would be, if the cards were played differently as it pertains to Nutgate. Because I really feel like that was it for her, because
Yeah.
Chris Watts' dad is the only thing that is precious to him in this life. I really believe that.
Mhm.
And I mean, I kind of felt like maybe his children were too, but I'm like everyone else, I'm a little confused about that right now,
I feel like Chris's dad knew about the affair.
Yeah.
I think so
I
too.
feel like if there is I feel like someone like Chris who is in that situation and he's reaching out for affection to another woman, I feel like he would have talked with his dad about that. And I feel like, and again, I could be wrong, but I feel like his dad had some kind of an idea that he was involving himself with someone else other than Shanann.
I think they all did, and I think the amount in which he was on the phone in North Carolina, knowing that he was, spending a lot of that time with his parents.
No, wait. He wasn't. The only time he saw him was the last night he was there.
Yeah.
He didn't see his and I think that's one of the big problems.
Yeah. You're right. Okay, but you're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I was just about to say though, like the reason for writing that very weird letter in North Carolina, I think that I think his dad knew, but I think that he had told the rest of his family too, because for what other reason would that letter have been written, or would they want? There had to have been some reason or something said or a conversation. Like I can't imagine just going to visit my family on completely like blasé circumstances and like, well, in case something happens to you when you get back, can you write this letter so we know so and so did? Like it makes no sense. So,
what really?
I think that he.
Yeah. Do you know what really throws me off is and I'm going to take it to a bit of a dark place. And I hope that this is okay for this channel. But the thing that really throws me is the doll with the sheet over it and the picture that was taken.
Yeah.
Now, was this picture, like, was this done by Chris? And was this picture taken and sent to Shanann as like a warning? Like, was this a warning? Was this like him trying to tell her that something bad is going to happen and don't come home? Like, I'm not quite sure where this picture lies in the big picture, if I can say so.
Okay.
I really hate that photo. I don't know why. There's something about it.
It's creepy.
Just,
it's totally creepy. Yeah.
And it just keeps me out. There's something about it that just it just gives me the heebie-jeebies.
So there's something that's like, was there a, like, if we talk about premeditation, was this like premeditated for a while? Like, or was this just Chris venting his weird frustration or like distaste for his family situation? Like, I don't quite know about that. Now, what I do know is that picture was on Chris's dad's phone and he showed that to the detectives.
Right. And
I don't think it was a spur of the moment thing. Like, sorry, Kelly. I don't think it was spur of the moment. Like he tries to just heat of the moment, it just happened like he said it did. Absolutely not. And another thing that was never fully explained was all the odd photos that he went around taking, in the days before she got home.
Temperature and the
temperature in the refrigerator, the boots in the back of the car. So it seems like whether we know or we're told or not, I absolutely believe. And I just want to say too, like going back, just so everyone knows, we're not trying to diagnose anyone.
No,
That's
of course
not, what this is. I think it's fair to look at human behavior, and we all know, and the ebbs and flows of life. Mental health is something we all deal with, right? We all deal with it differently. And I just wanted to say too, when I was listening to you speak on Shanann, and the control, one thing I can see very clearly as I've gone through it with therapy myself is that you can see that in her surroundings, her living situation, like the extreme organization. A lot of people, and what my therapist told me at one point was, in that out of control sense, in the rest of your life, you tend to control or try to control as much as you can
what you
immediately
can
in front of you. Right. And so again, I think that those things are, important and easy to examine. And of course, we're not victim blaming, but there was some catalyst or something going on with Chris that made him feel that, he could not allow Shanann to continue existing. Whatever his issues with her are, we won't know, but I think it is important to the overall
like
conversation.
You're so right. He definitely chose the wrong way out of this situation. If Chris really felt like he was in a situation where he felt like the girls were not being treated properly by Shanann, his wife, and that the finances were in trouble and he was drowning, he could there were so many different avenues that he could have taken. And this is where, again, I say that there were so many moving parts to this that failed them. If he had have just been honest, maybe with one of his friends, I don't even know if his dad would have been the right one to talk to, but like a best friend or even like a lawyer, someone where he could have expressed all of these concerns with and just have taken a better route. And he took this route for whatever reason. And I feel like the reason is because I don't even know. I was going to say because I felt like the route that he took was the way that he felt like he could control the final end of the situation. And
It's just me being facetious, but I can't imagine Ronnie ever being the best person to talk to.
I don't think Ronnie was the best person. I know, that's why I said I don't think his dad was the best one. But I mean, someone, if he had like a best buddy that he could have just spoken to and been like, this is what's going on and this is what I'm doing, like, AKA I'm having an affair and this is what I'm doing. This is what my marriage has came to, and this is what's going on at home. This is what I'm doing outside of the home. What do I do? There's just for Shanann's personality, Chris's personality, NK's personality, the in-laws on both sides, everyone's personalities, everything just collided to a point where it ended in utter like despair. Like this was not necessary. This didn't need to happen. There were so many other ways to correct this situation that neither of them took. And that's how I feel about it. Like, it's just, I mean, Shanann could have gotten her own kind of help for her own issues. She could have came to Chris and explained what she was struggling with, and maybe they could have came together. Maybe they could have came together in agreement and then agreed to separate. Like, it's just, it's so tragic how it came to this. And the purpose of having these discussions, I feel, is to prevent or try to prevent these things from happening in the future. And just look at the signs, like look at what's going on in your own home and what is like what's happening and what's it's so heartbreaking how this ended when it didn't have to end that way.
Well, I think to get help, I think, both people have to, for one, acknowledge a problem, whether between each other or within themselves. And then two, you have to be open to suggestion, to receiving help and seeking help.
You're right.
I think Shanann, sort of dealt with her issues in, a varying number of ways. I think she liked to vent to her friends. I think she liked to pour herself into work. I think she controlled her surroundings. And I think Chris was more reclusive. I think he withdrew into himself. And, unfortunately, that's a lot of the ways I deal with things, and I don't like that about myself. But a lot of times it's like the more I'm dealing with, the more I'm stressed by, I can become reclusive, right? I try to deal with things more internally. And unfortunately, that can metastasize if you're not aware of it, which I think Chris was painfully unaware. Yeah. I think he was completely unaware of, any what anyone around him was feeling. I think he was painfully unaware of his own emotions. And again, when you internalize that struggle and being so painfully unaware, I think it can metastasize into other habits. We see it with people in addiction. We see it with people in violence, as in this situation. So I think there's a lot of varying factors, but again, I do think there are a lot of stop points along the way in this very tragic story. But again, to, roll back the clock and, pick out these earmarkers of things that could have been done along the way. Again, you have to have both people and both players in the story both aware, for one, of
Yeah.
the problem,
Yeah.
willing to address it with each other, but then also willing to address the issues within themselves. And oftentimes in relationships as well, the deterioration or breakdown of a relationship with another person can be because of one person's issues that they're internalizing themselves. And, it does take a lot to look at yourself and realize and say, hey, in this situation, I am the problem. And with a person as, strong and as alpha as Shanann was, I think that we start to see that after the Nutgate situation, when she starts trying to, rewind and sort of come to an understanding with Chris and things about his parents and conceive.
Mhm.
But, by that point, I think it might have been a little bit too late.
Mhm.
But again, I think that,
No,
we
I
would have had to have a very different situation. And
yeah,
I don't know if I think that I think we can look at it objectively and say this could have been avoided if XYZ, but I think we're looking at two people that are more ABC. Does that make sense?
No, I think you absolutely you nailed it on the head with what you just said. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, this was like I said, I don't like I just like yeah. No, I totally agree. They would have either agreed to what was going on with the both of them together and worked it out, or they would have just agreed to disagree and they would have gone on their separate ways. It is interesting.
Or I mean, I think there would have been. I honestly think that there would have been some significant. I don't know exactly why. I mean, I know that all like most separations are very hard, but I think there would have been some significant friction. I think to tell Shanann that things are not going to happen the way she wants them to or thinks that they should. I think that real, and I think it's due to her lack of feeling like she had a secure foundation in her childhood and earlier in her life. But I think that just rocks her fucking world to the point where she cannot handle it. She becomes so scared and fearful that she acts out in like really kind of like, I'm sorry, this is how I see it. She acts out in kind of like psychotic way, or like like hysterical ways. Like I think Nucky is one of those hysterical ways.
No, I think that you're so right. And I'm saying this because of this. When she came back from North Carolina, and then she spent a couple of days at the house, and when she left for Arizona, do you remember her text messages to Chris? They had some kind of an intimate moment before she went to Arizona for those couple of days and then came back home and met her demise.
Yeah.
She left the home and she sent him a slew of text messages saying that she's glad that they snuggled together and that he held her. I think they had some very intimate time together before she left for Arizona. And then when she left for Arizona thinking that everything was okay, for whatever reason, he turned on that, and he wasn't responding to her text messages after they were intimate before she went to Arizona. So that is where things got really messed up for her, is that she came back from North Carolina. They had a couple of nights together, or one night, I believe, that they were intimate together. She left for Arizona only to come back a couple of days later, and she met her demise. So he played this sort of weird game with her. So when she was in North Carolina, he was basically like, this isn't going to work, whatever, yada, yada, yada. You saw that picture of her in the car where she looked completely terrible that she had sent to people, right? But she came home. They were intimate. They shared some kind of a connection. She went to Arizona feeling good. Then while she was in Arizona, again, things started to fall apart and she couldn't wait to get back to talk to him. And then she saw that, that $63 charge at the Lazy Dog. And she was like, what the F is going on? So he was sort of playing games with her. And I almost sort of wonder before she went to Arizona and they were intimate, I almost sort of wonder if he was kind of second guessing things
Yeah.
with NK.
I
And
think
that's
it
why
is.
and that's why he regretted going to the lazy dog
Yeah.
the night before Shanann came home, is because he was thinking, okay, I've been intimate with my wife. We're kind of sort of getting along. I don't really know if I want to be doing. There's just so many crazy things that have happened in this. It's just like,
Yeah.
what do you like? What
I
I don't really know what she was expected to think, because when he's being so cold to
Oh
her
yeah,
when
absolutely.
she's
And she's
away,
pregnant. My God.
yeah, and she
Well,
comes home.
I think it's easy to like hate her and think of all these reasons while she's gone. I think it was much harder
Mhm.
facing her, right? And so if you
Right.
look at like the Arizona trip, you know, I think once she was gone, I'm sure he had a lot of displaced guilt. And I'm sure
Yeah.
some of that was towards NK too, because he did say
Oh
that it
yeah.
felt
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
like he was cheating on her with
That's right.
his
Yeah.
wife. And so I think it was this conundrum of being pulled in a lot of different directions. But you know, I think, and this is my very, again, unprofessional opinion, but I think in some sense he would have had to have hatred for Shanann. But if you think about it, her being there in front of him was the embodiment of all his bad decisions, all his indiscretions, all his guilt, all his
Oh, that's good.
failures.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really
She
good.
was the embodiment of that. And so again, his failure as a dad, his failure as a husband, his failure as, you know, owning this house that they were about to lose, his failure to NK. Here she is right in front of him, you know. So again,
Wow.
I think there was
Yeah.
just a lot of parallels, but I
You
think there
know,
was a
but
lot
he
of guilt
chose to
in both
be, but I
directions.
mean, but he did choose to still be intimate with his wife
Oh
before
yeah,
she
he's a
left for
fucking
Arizona,
turd. I'm
right?
not
Like,
saying that, you
so,
know.
and she left for Arizona in good spirits. Like, she really did. You know, she thought that things were on the up and up, and that they were going to work on things, and the book was left on the, you know, on the table of, you know, like the therapy book that she had gotten for him, which he threw in the garbage, by the way. But you know, like, it was
Well, look at that though. Like, look at the dichotomy. Here she is canoodling, or well, that's the wrong word, but like, you know, snuggled up, like lovey-dovey while
right.
she's there, and then as soon as she's gone, he takes the book
He's
and
just
throw it in the
cold again.
trash.
Yeah.
The dichotomy of that, it's like, you know, a tale of two Chris's, like as they say, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's two completely different people, and so you're looking at one side, you know, that familiarity, this person you've been with for a long time. You have a family with your wife, your comfort, your home is where they are, right? You
Yeah.
snuggle, lovey-dovey. Then the second that they're gone, again, it's easy to flip. Then now you're single guy, you're NK's boyfriend, you're this other person. You throw the book in the trash. It's like complete. It's the definition of a double life.
You know what I find interesting about that lazy dog purchase is that he didn't feel like asking NK to pay for the bill. So he just paid for it on the credit card that he knew that Shanann would get the notice for. He
Right.
couldn't even say to NK, hey, I'm out of these gift cards from Anadarko. I cannot pay for this. If we don't want Shanann to know that we're seeing each other, I need you to pay
But
for this.
I don't think he would have ever said that, because I think at that point, listen, when by the time they went to Lazy Dog, Shanann and the girls had been away for 6 weeks. So according to NK and Chris Watts, that is the entire duration of their relationship, courtship, whatever. So let's just go with that just for now, for the sake of, like, you know, having the discussion on it. So
Okay.
then by the time we go to the Lazy Dog restaurant, let's see, the girls were back for 1, 2, 3 nights. And, you know, Shanann had only been back for kind of like a night and a half, because she left at like 4 a.m. or something on that Friday. And, you know, all of a sudden, he, in his relationship with Nicole Kessinger, is having to, you know, contend with the fact that now his family, not only do they exist on Earth, but they are right there all up in his face. And, you know, as much as NK says, oh, you know, I gave him his space, and, you know, we were gonna, like, bullshit, girl. Like, you were only with him, according to you, for one and a half days when his wife was actually home, and like a total of like 4 days when his children were home. So that's just such a load of shit. But I think being faced with the reality of all of that made him realize that his fantasy of, you know, just taking off with, you know, the chick who loves, like,
cars and, wearing tank
Anal.
tops to say something like, I don't know, like,
But look at this
hip
too, like
flips
on the other side of that coin, like playing devil's advocate too. Like like for Chris, okay, let's say, look at the short leash you have to be on, and I don't mean it like that, but sometimes I talk when I shouldn't.
No, it's okay. No, it's
To be a
okay.
30-some-odd-year-old man, you're contributing to this family, you're contributing to this household, your paycheck's going into an account, and to have someone nickel and dime you to spend $60 without this like grand explanation, or to be, I mean, and granted, he wasn't doing anything even close to what he was supposed to, but without a conversation and an explanation, that's really not that much money. Okay, a round of drinks is $30. According to her, he was going to the baseball game. Yeah, we went out to eat and I bought a round of drinks. I mean, what is $60? That's
well, I mean,
you know what I mean? That's not that much money.
I mean,
so
I think where it gets sticky is that she asked him what he ate, and he said a beer and a salmon dinner, and then she looked at the menu, and then she talked to her girls that were with her in Arizona, and they were like, and she was like, I think he's cheating on me because that bill. Now I'm in Ontario, Canada.
Right.
Now.
I'm just saying to spend $60
now,
checking account and instantly get a message back like, what was this for?
Now,
I'm just saying, like, I think that is sort of like showcasing what the
it is a bit
relationship
much,
was like.
but I think that's what happened. I think that's why she was so eager to get home to talk to him on that fateful morning, is that she wanted to talk to him about, she saw the bill. She asked him what he ate. She looked up the menu at the Lazy Dog. She realized that it didn't make sense, and she was very eager to get home and ask him about it. Now, this is where we get to what happened when she went through the door at 1:48 in the morning.
Wait a minute. We do get there, but hold it. I just want to back up a little bit first with the whole thing with like the Lazy Dog and that night, because I just think it's so critical, the timing of all of this. So, when talking about, would he, he didn't even ask for her to pay. There was no fucking way he was going to ask for her to pay, because whatever conversation happened at Lazy Dog, it was not in his favor. And he probably went through like 12 rounds in the ring, getting knocked out in the end for sure.
Yes.
And because the Kessinger finally had the experience of his wife actually being home in Colorado, where he was for a night and a half, and with children for 4 days.
You are
she
so
did
right.
not like it, and she couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
So she's like, you know what, Chris? If we're gonna make this work, I need to see that house is up for sale. Is it up for sale yet? Is it up for sale yet? Is it up for sale? Are you going to put a sign up? When are you going to put a sign up? Because remember, it's when she comes back from that dinner, like literally 2 minutes after he leaves the house. Hold on, I'm finding the timeline here. The discovery timeline.
They have an 11-minute conversation.
Wait.
Yeah.
2 minutes, like two to 5 minutes. I'll tell you exactly in a minute here. After Chris walks out of the door at Kessinger's house, she Googles Ronnie Watts, Chris Watts, Shanann Watts, and 2825 Saratoga Trail.
Yep.
Now, why is she looking up the house? I think it's obvious. She wanted to see if there was any indication that mofo was up for sale, because she was starting to not think that it was or was going to be. And also, the fact that, I just think she was on fire at that dinner. She was like, wait a minute, in my mind, I think he's, whatever it was she thought in her mind, Chris was being confronted with the reality of how hard it was going to be to actually leave Shanann and his family, both logistically, because Shanann was going to fight him tooth and nail, and also because in his heart, I think he was like realizing that's not, if he has a heart, but somewhere in there, I don't know, somewhere under the surface of whatever he is, he was realizing he didn't know if he really wanted to leave his family, and he didn't really know if he wanted to leave his family. Because now he's looking at her and he's like, oh man, you're like a little much, aren't you?
And that's why I feel like when he said to the detectives that he kind of sort of wished he hadn't have gone to Lazy Dog that night, I feel like it's because after he was intimate with Shanann before she left for Arizona, he was having second guesses about being with NK. And I feel like that dinner, for whatever reason, shit blew up, and then they left, and then they have a conversation on the phone after that NK mysteriously cannot remember. And then her phone pings at 6 something in the morning in that area. I feel like they had an argument at that dinner, and it had to do with, whether he was going to leave his family or not. And I think that NK knew that they were not separating. They weren't even.
She said, she says, and you probably know this, at that dinner, that all of a sudden, he wasn't that into, looking for the apartments anymore. They were going to go
Yep.
together. Yeah.
Well, and Googling the house too, we don't know what the conversations between them were aside from what they've told us. So I think that, the house was in his name.
Yeah.
Now, other than NK being in the area where her cell phone pinged, I think it was 6:16 in the morning.
Yeah.
Other than her being involved and being at the house, either during it happening or after or whatever, the only other reason I can suspect that she was in that neighborhood is that she was wondering whether he was breaking things off with her and going to work, or he couldn't break things off with her and he was taking the day off work, and she was so consumed with what he was doing that she was in the neighborhood just to see what he was going to do. Was he going to go to work, or was he going to take the day off and stay home with his wife and kids?
I think that is a possibility. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just all a very, and again, like I said, the reason that we can't let go of this is because there's just too many questions left unanswered. And the DA, and listen, if the investigators, like Tammy said, we had more to investigate, we had more to look into. However, we got word from the DA that it was done, the deal was signed, and the investigation was over. They had more to investigate. And if the DA had have just let them continue with what they were doing, we may be in a place where we're not having to talk about this, where we know the answers, because it would have gone to trial. Nicole Kessinger would have been she would have been on trial. She would have had to explain things. She would have had to explain her deleted messages that we all would have heard about. She would have had to explain why she was pinging in the area at 6:16 and then never again, or never before. We are it really is injustice, and that's why this will never that's why this will never
and all of that, the absence of the trial, the absence of the rendering of justice, the absence of ensuring that the process of justice was at least set up in its like skeleton structure there, like none of that happened. And District Attorney Rourke allowed all of that shit show to go on while he was accepting a plea that originated from the defense without even proffering the suspect or witness suspect. I mean, anybody else, any other attorney in a situation like that, anyone I've talked to, anyone I've heard, and that's been a lot of them because I have a lot of attorneys around me, as many of you know, anyone I've heard talk about this, anyone I've read who has commented on this, all said unanimously across the board, if they were to accept that plea deal, it would be after proffering the suspect and finding out exactly what happened what happened. Okay, so you're saying you're guilty of this. We want to know what happened. How did it happen? When did it happen? I mean, I guess you don't need why. Motive is not a required thing to prove guilt, and then following up with an investigation that would be to the extent that it would support that plea, in essence, that confession, because the confession must be part of the plea. Because if you're going to plead feel guilty, you're saying you did it, so there is a confession in there. And if you can't put it out on the table, sorry, we're not accepting your plea deal. Let's go trial.
He signed this plea. He signed this deal because at the time he was still in love with NK, and he did not want to go to trial because he knew what would come out. That is my understanding. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I feel like He did not get counsel or good counsel. He
Mhm.
could have gone to trial. I
Right.
mean, the death penalty was abolished in Colorado a few years later. So even if he had gotten the death penalty at the end of the trial, his death penalty would have been abolished anyways.
And
He
he
should have
might
gone to,
do
yeah,
that,
he
yeah.
signed the deal because he knew that if he were to go to trial, shit would come out and that would be that. And he did not want certain people to go down for what happened.
Well, and I also think the way his personality is, I mean, he is an absolutely spineless coward. I don't think that he was, I don't think he was willing to deal with all of the reality and truth being shown to all the world right in his face, and he being
Mhm.
humiliated, and he,
Yeah, that
being
there's that.
seen as that. Yeah, I mean, I think that
Yeah.
was a huge part of it. Yeah, but
That was a
also,
huge, yeah.
yeah.
That, like, if you saw him during the sentencing hearing, he could barely sit still in his
Yeah.
chair.
Yeah.
So for him to go through like a 3-month trial, let's just say,
My.
oh gosh, he wouldn't be
couldn't.
able to do that.
Right.
But yeah, there's more to this. And I really feel like, if I can just say one more thing,
Sure.
when Tammy and I can't remember his name, when they went back to interview Chris in his second placement for prison, I think it's in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Okay. They went back to interview him. They interviewed him too soon. They should have interviewed him kind of like now or a few years from now, when he knew that NK was no longer on his side. They didn't have anything going on anymore, and he needs to turn on NK. They interviewed him way too soon. Way too soon. It was way too fresh for him to turn on anyone else that was involved. He needs to be interviewed way later to
Well, I mean,
reveal
I think,
anything, even if he is to reveal anything, or if
yeah.
he is, and I've said this in my comments before, if Chris wants any kind of redemption, for what he's done, he needs to be honest and truthful about everything that happened.
Which
I
is
think he's
why
told so many
telling
lies
his
at this
story
point. Oh,
should have been part of the judicial process, and that's one reason it's built in there, so everyone can be restored. Which is just one
That's
more
right.
reason why District Attorney Mike O'Rourke failed.
Yes,
but,
he
and
did.
I was
He
just going to
did.
say, but I think that there's been so many lies and half truths and nuggets and crumbs dropped along the way now, that I think that even if we did get the full story, I think we would still be having these types of conversations, analyzing it, going back on what they said versus the evidence that we have. I don't know at this point, even if, between him and God, we got the full truth of everything. I think that there would still be that air of disbelief
But we do
surrounding
have hope.
anything he said
But
going forward.
But we do have hope,
Yeah.
because
Oh, absolutely.
Shanann's family can open a civil case against NK or anyone they want to, just like Nicole Brown Simpson's family did with OJ. They can open up a civil case, and that if there is any kind of justice to be served, if the DA refuses to do anything, even if it's Rourke or it's the next DA, even if they refuse, Shanann's family has the option to open a civil court case and get this settled for like once and for all. They have the option to do that. And as far as I think that the tilted lawyer said, because I asked the question, I think, and he said that yes, Shanann's family does have the option to open up a civil court case, and they very well should do that. They very well
They're
should.
very staunchly adamant as of late, though, that there are no one else involved, which I think is interesting, because
It is
it's
interesting.
kind of conflicting with what
Isn't it?
that was said in the Dr. Phil episode. I know many of
Yeah.
us have seen that, and it's missing from a lot of places. But
Okay, so look, to this day, the Shanann's family believes that basically NK was involved. Yeah.
Weird.
It is.
Well,
weird.
I mean, I wonder why they're so. I don't know.
I
Do they
wonder
know
why,
something that
too.
do they know something that we don't? Like, do they have the deleted text messages? Like, my question is this: does someone have those deleted messages?
Yes.
I believe so too.
Well, because when I've told this before, and then I stopped talking about this altogether for, it's a long story. But anyway, my friend Alex, who's an attorney, who's, started, hopped in on this case with me for a little bit. I don't know, it's almost 2 years ago now. And then long stories all around this. But anyhow, he spoke to somebody who was very close to the investigation. Those are the words that I always say, and I'm going to emphasize it again. He spoke to somebody who is very close to the investigation, who just during the course of conversation disclosed that, and without any second thought about it, that they recovered every single one of the text messages from her phone. Yes.
Okay, well then.
Well, from hers too, but he also said that he never deleted anything. So
right.
Like his message, they had his whole ass phone. So
well, he deleted a lot from Shanann.
And NK told Chris to delete a bunch of text messages. So I mean,
he said he didn't.
Here's the thing.
Whatever.
Here's the thing. If NK was so worried about, explicit pictures, photos, text messages between her and Chris, let me tell you, that if detectives are going through that, they're going to go through it. They're going to skip all of that. They're not going to care. They're just going to focus on the messages that they need to either absolve her or acquit her or she's responsible. So I firmly believe, like you just said, that these deleted messages are out there. They're known by someone, and it needs to be.
I think the only reason she handed over her phone was because I think that she thought she did a good job of getting rid of everything, and they weren't going to be able to recover it. And I think she fully believed that Chris did too, because I think in asking him and demanding that he did, I think she believed she had enough control that he would have done what she said.
And let's remember, she attempted to destroy her SIM card, and I don't know if you guys, the Karen Reed case, there are people that, deleted their SIM cards too in the Karen Reed case that's going on right now. So listen, if people that have nothing to hide nothing. And if you were, we all listen, Scott Peterson, it's Elizabeth Fry, right? His mistress.
Amber.
Oh, sorry, Amber Fry. She came forward immediately with police, handed everything over, had nothing to hide, and listen, if NK had nothing to hide, she'd be hiding nothing. The fact that she deleted text messages, whether she says they were because it's embarrassing, because they're sexual and they're explicit, that's not an excuse. No one's going to care about that. They're going to fly by that, and they're going to get to what they need to get to, see whether you're involved or you're not. No one cares about your photos. No one cares about your explicit text messages. No one cares.
But see, she would never. She can't comprehend. No one cares.
Well, the thing is, there are three. Well, she should listen. She should care. Like, there's 3 dead people and an unborn.
Well, I know.
Like,
but it's her psychic priority system is. I mean, she has the personality type and the mental makeup where she, the way she acts in that interview, exactly with the circumstances,
it's
these people who were just murdered in this horrific way, and that she's still, it says everything. I mean,
I know, you're so right. Like, I wasn't saying anything to you about that. I'm just saying, like, she's just, if anything, she should have been charged with obstruction of justice.
She absolutely should have. Absolutely.
And we all know that she has a history of being let go of multiple charges.
Yeah.
Her dad has to do with that. Like, there was her dad being part of the Freemasons, apparently, and being involved with police. Like, there's a whole background here of Nicole Kessinger just being, just a little slap on the wrist for whatever she's done. She has a history of defying authority and not caring about authority. So it did not surprise me.
Well, I think that's the degree to which her dad is involved in the police. I personally, knowing that he's an engineer and the whole Freemasons thing, like I've started talking about this recently. My grandfather was a 33rd degree Freemason.
So was mine. Oh my God. So was mine.
Cool. Oh, really? That's awesome.
So was mine.
That's very interesting. Like, yes, they are people who are connected and they can, pull some strings if they want to. But other than that, to me, that's neither here nor there. But I think the degree there, to which her dad was involved in the police had to do with her prior offenses.
Yes,
Knowing that
exactly.
she has like, oppositional defiant disorder.
She has
or something.
well, like if they
And
had
then he's gonna have to go to bat for her with the police because she just doesn't give a shit about authority.
So here's a funny thing about diagnoses. So as a teenager, she would have been diagnosed with, again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just speaking from professional experience. She would have been diagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder.
Yeah,
from
because
what
the only one available to her as a youth.
from what I read. However, when children and adolescents are diagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder, as adults, they're diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder.
Right. Or it might be a borderline, or it's gonna
Or
be
borderline,
something
yeah.
Or it's gonna be something that you cannot diagnose
Mhm.
when someone's in adolescence, their brain isn't fully developed. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Like she's got a lot to hide.
Yeah.
And so her defiance against authority was not surprising to me when I saw her in those interviews. She had no respect for the detectives. She was basically, if and I saw all those text messages that you ran through between her and the detective, you could just see it was just just manipulation, her controlling the situation, her deciding when we're going to talk and when. She's getting rid of her SIM card, she's getting a new cell phone. Like, it's just, listen, it's crazy. But I know that those deleted text messages are somewhere. They're somewhere. Someone has them.
Yeah.
And that person needs to come forward.
Well, guys, I think it goes without saying too, yes, controlling the narrative, yes, what she will not do, but she's not some like superhuman above the law. They knew going in they weren't going after her.
Right.
So whatever the powers be that decided, they knew that they were approaching her as a witness, and it was predetermined. Because even still, let's say Kobach is the worst investigator, under the sun. You
And
have
he
the
might
DA,
be.
and he might be, but you have all these other, investigators too, and contributing parties. They're not all stupid. They all know and understand. Yes, she's hiding evidence. Yes, she said this today, but she told us that the other day. Oh, now she's coming with this information. It doesn't take a sniffer dog to smell the bullshit. And you can read between the lines.
It doesn't take Jane and Cody to smell that bullshit.
And so again, regardless, I think it goes without saying that yes, she did control the narrative because she was allowed to.
Yeah,
that's right.
And all the parameters that she operated within and between, and she might think she's the most brilliant person if she did get away with something, whatever. But again, it's very, very clear and very obvious that it was predetermined, that they were not going after her. They were not investigating her. They took the information, and what she told them, great. What she admitted, okay, fine. They weren't pressing the issue, but they're not stupid. No one sitting there was stupid. They know where she lied. The DA admitted, oh yeah, there's an anomaly. Oh wait, no, that was true. That was in the data. We don't know why she Googled them. Well, wouldn't you be asking those questions? I mean, come on, all of us sitting here asking the same questions. These very trained, very highly experienced investigators see exactly what we all see too.
Exactly.
It goes without saying. So again, and there might be things in arrears that we're able to look back on that they didn't see at the time, but would they have come to those conclusions? I believe so. But again, she wasn't approached. It wasn't handled as an investigation. It was a conversation. They corroborated the evidence that they wanted to, that they could build the narrative that they wanted to surrounding her. And for whatever reason, she was protected from the beginning, point blank, period. And Kelly, you and I have talked about this too. There's a video that I think you've seen. It's by another creator. I don't know if I could mention it, but it's like 20-30 minutes. I think it would be so interesting, since we've been on this sort of track with looking at her interviews and the videos and the deception detective stuff. And it's about the Trent Bolt part of the story in the investigation. And I think it would be so interesting to sit and watch the side-by-side comparison of the way he was handled by the investigators versus the way that they handled Nicole. And I think when you really look critically at
the information and how he was treated and talked to in the investigation, the links that
By
they
the
went
same
to
interviewers,
disprove everything.
Grant Coder and Tammy Lee, right?
Yes, and
Yeah.
it was an absolute night and day difference. I think it would be very interesting to look at that aspect of the story and then to go back and rewind. And
Yeah.
I think it's easier to sort of look at the way she was, like the narrative was completely curated with her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
as a side by side comparison of someone else is saying, "Oh, I had an affair with this person," blah blah blah. And again, I think I don't know what I believe there exactly, but it was just an absolute night and day difference. They actually investigated what he said. They actually had checks and balances. They actually looked at his phone. They actually interviewed other people that he talked to, that he said this person to. There was no leave Jim alone. And I just think it would be a really interesting thing to do on the channel. So I can send you the video.
They even interviewed Shanann's friends, like from high school.
Right.
From high school. So, like, I don't know. It's just, it's very sketchy.
I think those were more interviews. I don't think those were, potential people of interest or potential, parties or, accomplices. 100% she should have investigated as we don't know what yet. And then it should have been determined if she was a person of interest or if she was a witness. Okay, we think, she's being deceptive. Is she a person of interest? Okay, now she's also a suspect. They should have started with a completely blank slate without any predetermination whether she was a witness or a person of interest. That should have only come after the initial interviews.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. She was a person of interest before she was interviewed. And then she was let known that she was a person of interest before her interview, and she deleted stuff. That alone should have been a charge of obstruction of justice.
She was told that by Anadarko, or someone there, that they had given her the information. I think I don't remember anywhere reading that police had her listed as a person of interest. I think she thought that she was suspected of something and went on a, cleanup mission on her own volition before she went to police. But I don't remember seeing anywhere, because she was interviewed by the FBI in the park, wasn't it?
That was on one occasion.
That was on the 15th. That was the
that
first
was
one.
the very first one.
And that was also the day when they determined that she was a protected witness.
Yes, but so she only came forth after
Anadarko told them that they suspected that they were having an affair. Yeah.
So before she ever talked to law enforcement in any degree, she had already cleaned everything up, because she claims that she did that on the 5th. What time that happened, I don't know, but that is the day.
If your boyfriend is being questioned, or if your boyfriend's family is missing and you're going to the police department and you're speaking to investigators, why on earth would you delete anything from your phone if you're there willing to help?
It's the lies that make
if some knuckle dragging fucker I suspected did something to his children that I was seeing, bye. I'll call the paddy wagon myself. Get away from me. Immediately. I would want absolutely nothing to do with them. And if I really thought he did something to his children, I would make it my life's work to fry his fucking sausage. I'm sorry. I would not. And again, like the thought of any woman, you're in your 30s, whether you're a mother or not, the idea that someone harmed children.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you would want to.
Yeah.
What are you're afraid of? They, saw your incy beansy brown bikini. Get out of here. Who cares?
Exactly.
It's irrelevant at that point.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Four people are gone. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Girl, bye.
Your itty bitty parts, it doesn't matter in a situation like this, right? You're handing everything over that you can to possibly help solve what's going on. You're not hiding anything, you're not deleting anything, you're not doing any of these sorts of things. You're
Well,
involved
and when
in.
she deleted them, it could have been a matter of saving lives. She didn't,
Exactly.
unless she was part of it. If she wasn't part of it, then she did not know that they were deceased at the time she did all that.
Exactly. Like you don't delete anything. You hand over your phone and you say, take what you need, whatever helps. Take it all. Here it is. Here's my
Unless
phone.
you have utter disdain for authority or anybody who tries to contain your, omnipresent self into the form of a human body or something. She's entitled in the most magnificent way, and she
Isn't
just,
she?
yeah. I mean, like what you're saying is absolutely what she should have done, but I just can't imagine. She doesn't have enough humility in her.
No, she doesn't. And she tells the detectives, don't effing let me down.
I
Like she's in
know.
complete,
Oh
when
my
you read
God.
those messages, you see that she is in complete control, and the detective allows her to be in complete control. Like it's crazy. And the way she taught, like there is a mother missing who's pregnant with 2 children that are missing. I'm sorry, but your private parts and on your cell phone are not what matters right now. So what are you doing? Like it's like it, to me, it to anyone, it's not a good enough excuse. What are you doing? What are you hiding? And like Tammy said, we had more to investigate and more to look into. And then we were told by the DA that it was shut down. That, he signed the deal. It's done.
Yeah, God. That's insane. It's just crazy.
I know. And it's just like, will this ever be brought to like the forefront again? I really hope so. I really hope so, because this is one of those cases where it's like you're not going to hear of a case like this for a while. Like this is just one of those things where it's just these things, this type of thing doesn't happen, and when it does, it's just, well, no, these things do happen, but there's usually, after like the investigation ensues and things come to light, you start to see what happened, and you start to connect the dots, and you go, okay, that makes sense. But the problem is, this doesn't make sense.
No. Well, because when something usually this horrible, this egregious happens, usually, there's a team of investigators, and there's a district attorney's office in place who is committed to justice, even if, they have priorities, whether it be financial or political or whatever the case may be, that conflict with, taking the proper and high moral ground, ethical ground, according to, what they're sworn to do.
Yeah.
To find complete justice, they're gonna be like, oh shit, this is such a big deal case. I'm in the spotlight, so I better walk this one right, because if I make some selfish move here, the whole world's gonna know. It's gonna reflect poorly on me. But like the way I feel about Rourke is he is just so full of himself.
Oh, don't even get me started on him.
He can't even gain that perspective, and it's, I don't even know.
He's brutal, and he does his best to protect NK and just offer any excuse he can for, whatever questions that we have. He's just brutal. And like I said, there's just so many moving parts to this, during the crime when it was committed, and then after, that are just like, oh God, justice isn't served. We all know that. And we all hope that someday it will be. I mean, really and truly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Oh gosh, guys, I think I have to start to wrap this up. We've been a little over 3 hours, and I am like super tired. I love listening to what you guys have to say. It's been like a really good conversation, and I really like your perspectives. Let me just check out chat for a minute, see if they have any questions or anything.
Sure.
Let's see. What time is it? Oh God, it's like 45 minutes behind. I cannot keep up with chat. By the time I get back to it, I usually am like really good about that, but I just can't tonight.
That's okay.
It's
That's
not
okay.
you guys, it's me. It's not you, it's me. All right, let's see. Wow. How are you doing, sis? Oh, wait, she went somewhere. I forgot. I think she's taking care of the little one. Let's see. Hey, Giovanni's Pikachu, how are you? Let's see, almost there. Huh. No way. What? Yeah. So Sarah Lottie is saying they never talked to Chris Watts about whether if NK was involved in the polygraph, but from what I understand of polygraph exams, you have to stick to one central topic in line of questioning on just one thing. Like so that's why they chose Shanann. Do you know what happened to her? You know, because that's the parameters of creating an accurate polygraph result. So I think that's why that was done.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, thank you, sis. Am I supposed to watch that right now? Oh, cool. It's unmasked. Or is it? Yeah. Wait, no, I don't know. She'll let me know. Do you want me to watch that right now, sis? Well, actually, I gotta wrap up, I think. But right, okay. Talking to myself during my live stream. Let's see. Bonnie Rigg says she blinks funny. Does anybody see her blinking hard? Yeah, totally. Yes.
That NK?
Yeah. We
Yeah.
were talking about that earlier. Yeah, I did notice that. Yep.
I know that deceptive detective, he doesn't like to focus too much on body language,
No,
more like
he doesn't at all. He
more
the body language. Yeah.
more on the words, yeah.
Yeah. Because he says, and statement, because like body language,
Statement analysis.
nonverbal cues is more is my jam, and and I agree with this though. Once they may not always agree with each other. Your analysis done when looking at body language, and also when looking or doing a statement analysis. So one has to be right, one has to be wrong. So if you're looking at both, you're essentially going to be competing with yourself to come to a correct conclusion. So yeah, he does pure statement analysis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I think is a good way to. I think I like that he does that.
And if we go by NK's statement analysis, it's not good.
It is not good. No, no. God, it's funny when he started, or when people started watching those videos, when he started putting them out. One of the most frequent comments I would see is, "Yeah, well, he doesn't believe that. He thinks that Cole Kessinger is innocent," and people were on fire about that. And I was always like, "Well, listen, guys, he doesn't his channel isn't called detect Nicole Kessinger's deception obsession, we literally obsess over knowing all about all of the bad things she's done. He doesn't know any of that. He's purely going on the statement analysis, which I think is really makes him very credible.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we like that. Oops, there's sis. She fell off backstage. Okay. Oh, yikes. Let's see. Ooh, why are people calling me right now? It's like so late. Not you, sis, but yes, the Trent Bull stuff is in this episode. What? Dude, I can't even see straight right now. That's how tired I am. Oh, my contacts are a little blurry. Definitely worth a watch, and I think it would be interesting to look at in a future live. Okay, yeah, it's getting too late now. We will do that though. So who is it? Lee says, "How did NK know about the plea deal in late
I lost it. Everything is going wrong over here. There it is. Okay, wait, there it is. All right. Yeah, come on. Okay. How did NK know about the plea deal in late August, early September 2018? Long before November 19th sentencing. So how do we know that she knew about that then? I can't think right now.
I'm not quite sure. I do know that she was there in the courthouse when he was leaving after his sentencing. I do know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She must have. Yeah. I don't know if she. Let me know how you know that. Because I guess she should have known that. But I can't believe that they accepted the plea deal so far in advance of the trial. And I kind of can't believe that his defense put it forth. I don't know. Everything.
I don't even like. What kind of a counsel did he have? I just. I don't know. It doesn't make any, like I said, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Unless he just wanted to get through this just because he didn't want to go to trial because he didn't want to be on trial and he didn't want other things to come out.
Chris or the defense attorney?
Both.
Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
well, I think probably professionally. I mean, I imagine defense attorney. I sort of feel like his professional opinion probably quickly became, that his client did not stand a chance. And
yeah, and I
go ahead.
Yeah, I think maybe they were afraid of a death penalty, but I mean, I don't know. I have this nagging suspicion that just Chris did not want this to go to trial because he knew that everything would be brought out. Everything. His defense would bring everything out they could. Like, I don't know. It just, he's hiding things still, is what I see.
God, absolutely.
And I pray for the day that he turns on Nicole Kessinger and just reveals everything. I really hope that day comes.
I think, and also Chris, who was on here on the live stream last week and the week before, I think, said she made a really good point, and I think this is an excellent point. That earlier, I was saying that the one thing that's precious to Chris Watts is his father, and she said, the one time I think we might have a chance of actually hearing the truth, possible like real confession, is when his father passes away.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point. Wow.
Yeah, no, I hadn't thought about that either, but I was like, wow, yeah, that might
wow, that's that could be a very powerful thing that happens to him where just and unfortunate, like, God, as much as I don't like the guy, I wouldn't want him having to deal with the grief of his father, but that could bring about something, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah, but this is just such a crazy situation. It gets crazier, I feel like. And I don't feel like we're making it crazier. I feel like the more you understand a little bit here and there, it just that paints a picture that's clear, more vivid. It's just more.
Have you ever heard of another case? I mean, that is so talked about for years later. I mean, other than famous ones, such as OJ and whatever, but I mean, I've never heard of a case that is just that has blown up on social media like this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I know it's because people know when someone's lying about something.
Yeah.
And people know when something is missing and they don't have all the information.
Right.
Because we're not stupid, right? We don't have to be lawyers. We don't have to be detectives. We don't, we don't have to be these licensed people to get the sense that something is amiss,
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you on that. Yep. And and there is just, I think, this innate sense that so many of us have that, justice has not been delivered for these victims. And there is something that is inherently wrong feeling about that in so many different ways. And it really is not, you know, and when you start to look into things, you research things, you hear about things, you watch things, and you start to go, oh my God, and now here's actual factual evidence proving that complete justice has not been served for the victims.
Yeah.
Like that, so like some of us just can't sit with that.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
I agree.
Yeah.
And that's why we're all here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so all the people who are, you know, claiming that, you know, terrible people, let them rest in peace, you know, it's just like, I don't know. I just always have to say, like, the statement of, you know, what you're doing is so horrible, whatever it is they say, you know, let them rest in peace. What the frick are you talking about? Let them rest in peace.
Well,
Like
here's
nothing I'm gonna do is gonna cause them to not be in peace. Like they have,
yeah.
like this
Here,
is such a silly thing for, in my opinion, to
I
say.
know it is silly because I do believe that they are resting in peace. I like
Yeah.
I do believe that, you know, when I mean this is a heavily debated topic, but
Sure.
I do believe that, you know, they are in peace and they are
Yeah.
resting peacefully on the other side, and they, you know,
Right.
and she is with her girls and her son, and they, and I don't think what we're doing is disturbing them. I
Right.
think
I know.
I think if anything, it's encouraging. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I think that Shanann would want
of
people
course,
to search
Shanann. Of
for complete justice
course.
for her children and herself.
Of
I mean, of
course.
course she wants that. I know
Yeah,
I
of
have Shannann's
course.
blessing.
Absolutely. And if she can't do it on the other side and she knows that we can, well, then I
Yeah.
think that she's all for it.
Yeah,
So why
absolutely.
not, right?
Right. I absolutely. So yeah, so you know, so there's that, and then okay, well, let them rest in peace. Don't talk about this. Well, you know, it bothers me that you're not concerned about the fact that these victims who have no voice and their families who are still on this earth in so much pain and suffering, and they're confused
Yeah.
because so many people are in their ear telling them different things, and the
Mhm.
facts never really came out in a straight way. Anyway, my God, it feels so bad for all of them.
Yeah.
You know, why are you not concerned about that person
Yeah,
who tells me to
exactly.
let, you know,
Exactly.
anyway.
I know. No, listen, I know. It makes sense to us.
It
And that's
does.
all that matters, you know,
That's
like
right. Yes. Yes. And Kate, doesn't matter. We don't care about your brown bikini. We just want it to make sense to us.
the UPS bikini.
That's so funny. Oh my God.
I don't know any woman that has a brown bikini. I can't think of
No. It's weird. It's just so weird. I can't even, no, I definitely never owned a brown bikini, and I like can't there was one, I don't know, once upon a time, you know, after this case, of course. I can't remember where I was, but there's a bunch of like huge like surf and bathing suit shops. I don't think I saw one single brown bikini in like any of them.
I know she's different, that's
She's
for sure.
different.
She's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
I heard she had a baby. Is that true?
I mean, that's like I keep hearing that too. I have no idea if it's true
I
or
don't
not. Yeah. I
I
don't
don't
think we know her real name. I don't think she's Sophia Miller, people. Um,
know.
I don't know what we like where, you know, that's I just think that's just rumor mill stuff. And I don't think any of us really know if she did have a child or not. Yeah.
Who
But
knows?
I'm going to buy that child a book when they're of reading age. It's going to be called Learning to Deal with Living with a Narcissistic Parent.
That's good.
I will read it to them, whatever it takes.
Oh God.
Oh,
Like, you know what? Like I said before, even if Chris had have done, you know, the right thing and just walked out the door and just left his family behind
yeah.
and then just waited for family court, I really don't I don't I actually I 100% do not I don't think that him and Kay's relationship would have ended well. I
Yeah.
think it would have also ended in some kind of a, you know, maybe not the same scenario, but I don't think it would have ended well at all.
Right.
I don't feel like I don't feel like this was a match made in heaven. Like I don't feel
No.
if he left Shanann that this would have been the woman that he would have spent the rest of his life with until, you know, until his dying day. I don't feel like that was going to happen. I feel like if he had have left Shanann and been with NK, that it just down the road, it just would have gotten messy, and I don't think so.
Yeah, I know. I agree with that for sure. Yeah. Oh, hey, Kez has been a member for 6 months. Awesome. And Kez says,
Awesome.
welcome everyone. I missed in chat. Please hit the like. Yeah. Thanks for being here, sweetie. So, all right. I'm getting silly tired. I'm literally like, when you hear me not talking for like a while, I'm literally like dozing off. It's crazy. But thank you so much for coming up. I really enjoyed talking with you. And I know that, everybody who's watching did too. So please feel free to come up and share your opinion anytime you would like. I think you have some really interesting stuff to say.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're
this
welcome.
has been awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Everybody give a big round for Miss. What is your name?
Miss Dark Humor. My name's
Okay,
Candace. My name's Candace.
Candace. All right, Miss Dark Humor. Oh, I'm going to be honest. The first time you came up, I put you on the screen for a second, and then I took you down because I'm like, Miss Dark Humor. I was like, I'm like, is this going to be one of those people who gets up on the screen and then reveals they're really just a big penis, and then I have to take the whole live stream down?
No, I'm okay.
So that's why I took you off the screen for a minute, because I'm thinking, I'm like, I know I've seen that name before, but I'm like, I'm like, Miss Dark Humor. I'm like, actual viewer interested in the case or penis?
No, dark humor is related to I worked in I still work in a career where we kind of use dark humor just to get through the shift.
Yeah.
So that's where it came
Dark
from.
humor is important. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know if you know this. That was something that happened very frequently, particularly as it pertains to this case. Channels that covered this case, it was like a couple of years ago. So everyone still has like a little bit of PTSD from those days. It's like, who's going to be hit with it next? So, oh my gosh, what a way to end a live stream! But at least we didn't have to take the stream down, because that's what it really was.
It was a good. It's been a good stream.
Yeah, it has. Thank you so much. I really wait, hold it. There was one thing you said that I wanted to let you finish, but I had a question about. And wait, let me try to remember really quick. Oh my God, my son. I think he's just like ridiculous human being right now. He's 15. I want him to be 3 again. I love him, but he's like a ridiculous human being.
It's okay. He'll come back. Don't worry.
He just yells and grunts and like just curses. I'm like, ew, stop. We don't say that in this house. Wait, you don't say that in this house. I say that, but it's because I'm a grown ass adult. Oh my God. I don't remember what it is, but if I think of it, I'll write it down so I can get back to you. But
yeah, so I think I came in kind of, so I've done a lot of research on Shanann, and I kind of I came in just kind of saying that there were some financial stuff and like some medical stuff that with the kids that we might kind of want to look into, just to kind of tie it into how this family came to the end that we did.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe for another stream, but
yeah,
just I don't know, it's just kind of I like Shanann, but I just feel like she needed help.
Yeah, she absolutely did.
And she needed help with the girls.
Yeah.
And I feel like she was missing something in her life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of maybe had a bit to do with validation and stuff like that. So I kind of came in hot, kind of going like, hey, like I used to be a huge Shanann fan, but I've done like some more research, and I've learned a few things that were a little concerning.
Yeah.
However, that doesn't that doesn't excuse.
Okay. I probably talked about all of them on this channel.
Yeah. Like it doesn't. Yeah, like it doesn't excuse Chris for what he did.
Oh my God, absolutely not. No.
But I feel like this was just a situation where someone needed to come in, and I only say this because she posted everything online. So everyone saw it, her friends, her family, his, you know, his
Right.
family, and
Right.
someone could have intervened at any time. And for
Yeah.
whatever reason, maybe they did and we don't know, or
Right.
maybe they didn't. And
Right.
and we know. And I feel like Shania needed help.
Mhm.
And
She
I
did,
feel like,
absolutely.
yeah, and I feel like, you know, I feel like Chris needed help too. And
Yeah.
man, it just, oh God, it sucks. It just sucks that that it ended up this way. It's so, it's so unfortunate. And at the same time, I wonder if it was just completely unnecessary. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just, I kind of like to see all sides of a situation.
Mhm.
And I see where things, you know, were going wrong for both Shanann and Chris. And you know, your girl that was on earlier, you know, said it
Mhm.
really well, right? Like it would have taken, you know, both sides to, you know, admit to what was going wrong and willing to change and then willing to make those changes together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that opportunity just, it didn't happen.
Yeah,
And
and, I know that Shanann's, first husband said in his interview said that, when, once Shanann decided she was done, she was done. And, when they start like, we're not getting along, she just, she stopped showing up. She stopped interacting. She just, sometimes wouldn't even come home, but like he knew she was okay. Or she would just have her head down in her phone. They'd be in the same house, but like, existing in parallel universes,
yeah,
basically.
yeah,
And I think that, that's part of just, this is another indication that, I really wish that while she was here on earth, she, somehow went and got herself some really good dig deep therapy to free
mhm,
herself of some of the, heaviness and pain and all of that, which I don't know. She had a lot that she needed to process and get rid of. And I wish she did. I had the chance to do
yeah,
that. Yeah. Enjoy life a little
yeah. And you know, and what's fortunate is that most of us do get the chance to do that,
bit. Mm-hmm.
and she didn't.
Right, exactly,
And
exactly.
that's what's unfortunate is that Kristen, either he saw it and didn't want to address it, or he saw it and didn't care, or he actually didn't see anything. And that's the unfortunate part, is that Shanann didn't have the opportunity to fix what was going on
Mhm.
and, you know, within her. And Chris the same way too, right? Like
Right,
these
right.
were two people that came together that I don't really think knew themselves before they came together. And then as they were together, you know, their characters were kind of coming to the forefront, and it was just a really bad mix.
Yeah.
And I really, but I know I watched the videos, and I don't know, there's a part of me that I don't know, still thinks that maybe that's just me being hopeful. Maybe they could have just made it work, and maybe that's just me being hopeful for a situation because I know how it
Mhm.
ended.
Right, right.
Um, but the both of these people needed some kind of help,
Yeah.
and it didn't happen, and that's why we're here right now.
Yeah, exactly. I know one of the things I always used to say, and I just don't like say it this way as much anymore because I guess like with some of the things I focus on has shifted a little bit. But it's so important to be able to like recognize and identify when you see people around you in crisis, families in
Yeah,
crisis, individuals in crisis. So, I mean, if you're lucky, you can recognize yourself if you're like starting to spin into crisis. And in my
mhm.
opinion, this is a key example of a family in crisis
Crisis.
with
Yeah,
both adults in the relationship. Having going, yeah, there's so much to be learned from
there
what we
is.
see in this case with this family. From Shanann when she shared her life on Facebook, it allowed us to learn some really important lessons.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a family that I feel like had a lot of love,
Mm-hmm.
And it just, yeah, it just ended in a way that didn't have to. That this family had a lot of love. I know that from
Yeah.
what I've seen.
Uh-huh.
And you know, maybe it could have been saved, maybe not. And even if it couldn't have been saved, you know, at least they could have gone in their own ways, and then
Right.
maybe grown from there. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and you know, we love them, and
Yeah.
you know, we just want justice. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, on that, I think I'm going to end this. And thank you again so much for coming up. I'd love you to come back sometime. And hey, shoot me an email if you can. It's just wattsobsession@gmail.com.
What is it again? Sorry, you cut out.
Oh, it's Watts Obsession. Here, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, no problem.
My voice is like, can't do anymore. Well, oh, there goes my son screaming weird things. Cool. Watts I spelled that wrong. Watts Obsession. Everything should be spelled correctly. wattsobsession@gmail.com.
Okay, perfect. I'll shoot you one.
There you go. Awesome. All right, and everybody, thank you so much for being here. You guys are amazing. Thank you, subscribers and members and moderators. You guys are the bomb. I don't know what I'd do without you. Seriously, seriously. Thank you so much for everything you do. All of you, especially moderators, especially this case, being a moderator in true crime, I think it can be a little hard, especially when somebody's talking about Chris Watts' case constantly. Oh boy. How did I
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Everyone thank Miss Dark Humor and also Suspicious, who hopped down a little while ago, but she is always a wonderful guest and we appreciate her, sis.
All right. Okay. Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, good night. Bye guys.